Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Fantasy. Pick up attributes like crazy. Chapter 1. Ming Dynasty. Outside Jinling City, a row of prison cars pulled hundreds of boys and girls in ragged clothes, squeaking and squeaking forward under the guidance of horses. Brother, don't die. Even if you die, Linger won't be able to survive. A little girl in her teens vigorously shook an unconscious boy. The little girl has a beautiful face, but she is quite embarrassed at this moment, dirty and crying. This is how Xiao Chen was shaken awake. Seeing her brother come back to life, Linger's face turned red with excitement. Holding Xiao Chen in his arms, he cried, "Brother, you finally woke up." His little face rubbed against Xiao Chen's body, and his tears soaked a large area of Xiao Chen's clothes. Xiao Chen patted the little girl in front of him on the back to comfort her. There was a hint of confusion in his eyes. He was originally a down-and-out wage earner in Blue Star. On his way to get off work, he saw an old man who was hit by a car. After kindly sending the person to the hospital, he was falsely accused of being the one who knocked him down. Facing the accusations from the old man and his family, Xiao Chen, an orphan, jumped out of the hospital in anger to prove his innocence. When he opened his eyes, he saw this little girl. She is her biological sister and her only relative in this life. When he inherited this body, he also absorbed the memory of this body. This is a world of mixed martial arts, a world of imperial court and martial arts. There are many great countries such as the Song Dynasty, the Tang Dynasty, the Yuan Dynasty, and the Ming Dynasty. In the Zhonghu, there are many legendary Zhonghu forces spread throughout the world. There is the fierce and powerful Sun Moon God Sect Dongfang Bubai. There is a martial arts legend named Zhenren Zhong who is sitting on one side. There is also a world that dominates one side and so on. Various martial arts sects and imperial forces are intertwined. They are hostile to each other but not completely broken. It was just a small-scale conflict. The place where Xiao Chen is located is outside the Jinling city of the Ming Dynasty. Because he had no money to pay the poll tax, he was taken out of the city by Jinyiwei. He heard that he was going to be sent to a mine for mining. Looking at the young sister in front of me, she should have been studying in school, but she was imprisoned in a cage like a cow or horse. Xiao Chen's heart was filled with anger, and the anger almost wanted to burn his whole body. He vowed to stand out in this world of mixed martial arts. Only in this way can you protect yourself and your sister. But now he has no strength and can only be at the mercy of Jinyiwei. Ding! The pickup system matching is completed. Please explore by yourself, host. An electronic sound sounded in Xiao Chen's mind, making his eyes light up. At the same time a stream of information flooded into my mind. In his previous life, he loved online novels, so he naturally knew what the system was. It's really standard equipment for time travelers. Xiao Chen calmed down and carefully understood the wonderful functions of the system. After a long time, Xiao Chen finally understood some of the functions of the system. The pickup system means that when someone is fighting or using his inner strength, he can pick up the opponent's martial arts fragments. You can understand the martial arts on the fragments without practicing. When the same fragment is picked up again, it will be converted into martial arts experience points. He can completely use martial arts experience points to push a martial arts to an extremely advanced level. This made Xiao Chen very happy. In this world, martial arts are respected, and as long as you are strong enough, you can do whatever you want. If they had martial arts, they wouldn't be sent to the mines. Brother, this is a steamed bun I secretly hid, you take a bite first. Linger swallowed and quietly handed over a dirty steamed bun. This is her daily ration. Because Xiao Chen was in a coma, he wasn't even assigned a stutter. She kept hiding it just to give her brother something to eat. Xiao Chen was really hungry and swallowed half of the steamed bun in one bite. Looking at his sister who was swallowing her saliva, Xiao Chen handed over the remaining half. I'm not hungry, brother, eat. Linger sensibly handed the bun back. Linger is good, my brother just woke up and can't eat. Hearing Xiao Chen say this, Linger started eating heavily. Hundreds of poor people were in the prison car heading towards the mine. If nothing unexpected happens, they will spend the rest of their lives there. After more than 10 days of turbulence, the group finally arrived near the mine. Stop, Baihu, the leader, suddenly waved his hand and stopped the convoy. "Sir, what's wrong?" a royal guard came forward and asked. Century Li Feng frowned, looking at the mine in front of him with a puzzled look. His intuition told him that something was wrong. He had come to this mine many times, and the mine was usually very lively, with all kinds of mining and scolding sounds. But today it was quiet. Something was wrong. Just then, a burst of laughter came. "This court hawk dog is quite capable." A large number of people from the rivers and lakes suddenly appeared around, surrounding the carriage. Everyone was shocked. Li Feng shouted loudly, "Who are you? How dare you attack people from the court?" The people from the rivers and lakes and the court have always despised each other. The people from the rivers and lakes call the warriors of the court hawk dogs, and the people from the court regard the people from the rivers and lakes as grass. Since ancient times, heroes have used force to break the law, and the imperial court has controlled the world. But there are always some places in the martial arts world that are aloof and not under the jurisdiction of the imperial court. Such as Shaolin Temple, Wudang Sect, Yiwa Palace, and even some Sun Moon Sect and Tianxiahui that openly challenge the imperial court. Not only do they openly challenge, but they also divide the land and become the overlord of their own region. How can the imperial court bear it? What the people in the martial arts world want is to be happy with enmity and freedom. The imperial court is that all under heaven is the king's land, and all the people are the king's subjects. No one can take a step back. So the imperial court established the Jinyiwei and Hulong Villa to deal with the people in the martial arts world. Both sides have been restraining each other. It is not the first time that the people in the martial arts world dare to attack the Jinyiwei like this. Li Feng felt very bad. Since the people in the martial arts world have taken action, they must have made full preparations. It is inevitable that the Jinyiwei will suffer losses in the Ming dynasty. The big man who was in charge of the opposite side laughed and said, "The imperial court has occupied so much of the world's mineral resources, it is only natural to give some back. You are unlucky. You ran into us to take the refined iron. You can only be embarrassed. Kill." The big man gave an order, and the people in the rivers and lakes around him came forward with swords and knives. And he rushed towards Li Feng. Xiaoling hugged Xiaojian tremblingly, his eyes closed, his little face pale, his head buried in his brother's chest, and he didn't dare to look out. The rest of them huddled in the corner of the prison car, which seemed to be safer. Some people even vomited when they saw the bloody scene. Some people were even so scared that they shouted and lost their sense of safety. Whether it was the people in the rivers and lakes or the Jinyiwei, they all fought desperately, not caring about the status of the people in the prison car. Some young men and women were even beaten to death and injured by swords and broken stones. Even so, no one asked a question. Xiaojian was furious. He looked at the scene with cold eyes. The group of people fighting had no mercy at all. At this moment, Xiaojian suddenly saw a lot of golden fragments falling around, slowly drifting towards his direction. What is this? Xiaojian's eyes lit up. Could this be the martial arts fragments that the system said? As long as someone fights around the host, martial arts fragments can automatically fall wherever the naked eye can see. Gathering together, only he can see these martial arts fragments. Looking around, the life and death struggles of hundreds of people made the martial arts fragments falling around densely packed. And all of them were slowly drifting into his body. The nearest fragment was already in front of him. Xiaojian reached out and touched it, and the golden fragment merged into his body. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the three-yong sword technique and automatically comprehending the three-yong sword technique. The various mysteries of the three-yong sword technique were instantly transmitted to his mind, allowing his three-yong sword technique to immediately become a small success. Martial arts are divided into minor, major, complete and ultimate according to different proficiency. Ordinary people who can practice a martial art to great success are already geniuses. Practice to perfection is a genius. As for the ultimate, it must be a martial arts genius among 10,000. There is hope to step into the existence of land immortals. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of Sanyong sword technique, martial arts experience +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of Sanyong sword technique, martial arts experience +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of Tingyu sword technique, and automatically comprehend Tingyu sword technique. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of Tingyu sword technique, martial arts experience +1. The voice of the system kept ringing in Xiao Jian's mind, making him a little too busy. It's not swordsmanship, it's knife skills, body skills, and martial arts experience points, too many to count. Although these martial arts are all common goods, even so, Xiao Jian couldn't help but be happy. The golden fragments beside him drilled into his body one by one, and suddenly a prompt sound attracted his attention. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Hunyuan Gong, and automatically comprehending Hunyuan Gong. After the Hunyuan Gong's Qi method circulated in his mind, a trace of airflow in Xiao Jian's body slowly circulated in the meridians of his whole body. But the speed of this airflow was too slow, not to mention circulating the whole body, even moving it out of Dantian was extremely difficult. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value +1. Boom! With this little internal force value, the airflow in the body instantly doubled in thickness, and the speed of running was also much faster. Internal force value can also be picked up. Xiao Jian was overjoyed. Internal force is the foundation. A person who only knows moves and has no internal force is just talking on paper. The fight between the surrounding rivers and lakes and the Jinyiwei continued, and more golden fragments fell. Various martial arts fragments, internal force fragments, and experience fragments were integrated into Xiao Jian's body. Martial arts fragments can allow him to master various martial arts moves. Internal force can improve his skills. Martial arts experience can improve the martial arts realm specified by Xiao Jian. Let one or more martial arts reach perfection or even the ultimate in an instant. Xiao Jian's mind moved, and all his internal force was used to improve Hunyuan Gong. Boom! The airflow in Xiao Jian's body became thick and turbulent at a speed visible to the naked eye. Acquired first level, acquired second level. When Xiao Jian opened his eyes again, he had already reached the 5th level of the acquired realm. It took him only half a day to break through to the 5th level of the acquired realm. Ordinary geniuses would need at least several years to slowly hone their skills to reach this level. Outside the prisoner car, the fight between the people in the martial arts world and the Jinyiwei had come to an end. After a long journey, Li Feng and others had already consumed their physical strength. If they were to encounter the robbery and killing of the people in the martial arts world again, how could they withstand it? The Jinyiwei suffered heavy casualties, and only one centurion, Li Feng, was left struggling to support them. There were still more than 20 people on the martial arts side. The leading man panted heavily, looking at the centurion in front of him with a red face. Both of them were in the acquired realm, and their strengths were almost the same. No one could do anything to anyone, but the fight among the others had ended. At this time, the situation of Li Feng, the captain, was a little bad. Li Feng saw more than 20 people surrounding him, and a flash of despair flashed in his eyes. He cursed. You are a coward. You actually bully the minority with your numbers. If it were normal, he could easily deal with the other 20 people, but now he was exhausted. He also had to guard against the acquired master in front of him, so he couldn't take care of it. The leading big man laughed wildly and said, "The Jinyiwei is just so, this time we made a fortune. The fine iron of a mine, plus these hundreds of boys and girls, can definitely be sold for a good price." Li Feng's eyes were erratic, and he rushed to the side in one step. He wanted to break through and escape. But he was blocked by the big man. Want to run? Dream on. The big man had been on guard for a long time. If Li Feng ran away, it would definitely be a trouble for them. Li Feng's face was grim. Who are you? Even if I die, I have to die knowingly, right? The people in front of him were wearing different clothes and had different martial arts skills. It was impossible to tell their origins. The big man laughed wildly. It's Li Kui, the leader of the Qingmu Hall of the Tiger Gang under the Sun Moon Sect. In the prison car, Xiao Jian seemed to be struck by thunder and his body trembled. A flash of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The scene of his parents being killed in this life appeared in his mind. The figure in red fluttering and like a ghost Dongfang Bubai. The red-clothed figure was as powerful as a god and a demon, fighting with people in the city. With a wave of his hand, there were terrifying shock waves. And his parents were buried under the ruins in that casual wave of his hand. Dongfang Bubai, Xiao Jian murmured. He had never heard of this tiger gang. It was probably a small gang. But the Sun Moon Sect was famous, who didn't know it? Dongfang Bubai is known for his literary and martial virtues, and he unified the martial arts world. Even the Ming Dynasty court could only grit its teeth and pretend not to hear it. I didn't expect to run into the Sun and Moon Sect so early. Xiao Jian's heart sank slightly. Then take some interest first. Xiao Jian didn't like Jinyiwei, and was even very dissatisfied with Jinyiwei. But helping Jinyiwei was the best choice at the moment. Xiao Jian patted his sister's shoulder, comforted his sister, and asked her to close her eyes. Then he casually slapped the prison car away. Boom. The sudden movement attracted the attention of both parties. I saw a pillar as thick as an adult's arm on the prison car was slapped away by a young man with sword eyebrows and star eyes and a handsome face. The young man calmly got off the prison car and picked up a green steel sword on the ground. He casually threw a sword flower, and then pointed the sword at more than 20 people in the martial arts world. You little fools, are you looking for death? A hot-tempered big man cursed. Pointing a sword at someone is a naked provocation. Not to mention being provoked by a teenager. Li Kui and Li Feng stared at the broken pillar in a daze. This pillar as thick as an arm cannot be broken by someone without some cultivation. Even an adult does not have that ability. The furious man did not notice this. He rushed up with a big knife. Little fool, you dare to provoke your uncle, go to hell. The big knife in his hand chopped down from top to bottom, and the powerful force even made the air whistle. It seems that he is ready to split Xiao Jian in half. A cold light flashed in Xiao Jian's eyes. He did not even look at the big knife above his head, and stared at the big man's eyes with a faint expression. In the eyes of the people around him, the boy in front of him seemed to be scared silly. Some people even started to laugh. The corners of the violent big man's mouth showed a cruel smile. Just as the sword was approaching Xiao Jian's head, Xiao Jian waved his hand, and the steel sword flashed at a speed that was invisible to the naked eye. Shish! A slight sound rang out. The big man's head had been thrown high up. Blood splattered 3 feet. Hiss! Li Kui and Li Feng both took a breath of cold air. Looking at the sword just now, it was crisp and neat. Both of them felt a chill on their necks. The big man's head fell in front of the other 20 or so people in the rivers and lakes, making them swallow their saliva fiercely. They stared at the handsome boy in front of them in horror. The scene suddenly became silent. Xiao Jian raised his hand and pointed his sword at everyone again, with no expression on his face. It was just that cold look that made everyone sweat. Some of the people in the tiger gang couldn't stand it anymore, and they felt uncomfortable like needles all over their bodies. The young man in front of them was really a ruthless character who killed people without blinking an eye. He just killed a person without even changing his face. He doesn't look like a young man at all. He looks more like a gangster than them. Li Feng laughed. There is always a way out. Who would have thought that a young man in the prison car would become an important figure in changing the situation? Li Kui's face turned black. He had just reported to his family. If the Jinyiwei was allowed to go back, the tiger gang would definitely face the crazy revenge of the Jinyiwei. How could the court let the tiger gang do such a thing? If they didn't retaliate, any gang would dare to attack the court in the future. Li Kui said angrily, "What are you all standing there for? Why don't you kill him?" After that, he flashed in front of Li Feng. Obviously, he would not let him go to rescue. Humph, Li Feng sneered. A group of grown men bullying a young man, don't they feel ashamed? As he said this, he swung the embroidered spring knife in his hand towards Li Kui. Each strike was more ruthless than the last. Xiao Jian helped him contain so many people in the martial arts world, which greatly reduced his pressure. He had to take down Li Kui at this opportunity. Otherwise, if Xiao Jian couldn't hold on, his situation would be dangerous. The two fought fiercely, but they also paid some attention to Xiao Jian. More than 20 people rushed towards Xiao Jian fiercely. Xiao Jian looked normal, looking ahead with cold eyes. With the long sword in hand, a murderous aura permeated his body. These 20 people were all in the first or second level of the acquired realm, just a little stronger than the strong men who had trained their muscles and bones. They were vulnerable in front of Xiao Jian, who was in the 5th level of the acquired realm. With a sword in hand, Xiao Jian chopped and chopped, killing these 20 people as easily as cutting melons and vegetables. The unrestrained and free movements even stunned Li Kui and the other person not far away. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Sanyang's sword technique, martial arts experience +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Tingyu's sword technique, martial arts experience +1. A series of voices sounded in Xiao Jian's mind. Until the voices disappeared, Xiao Jian realized that all the 20 people in front of him had been dealt with by him. Li Kui's eyes were red. It was already his limit to deal with Li Feng, and he would definitely not be a match with Xiao Jian. With a turn of his eyes, he immediately wanted to withdraw. But he was stopped by Li Feng with a flash. Hey, the famous Qingmu Hall master, why do you still want to run away? Li Feng was in a good mood and couldn't help teasing. Humph! Li Kui saw that he couldn't run away, and attacked Li Feng frantically. And it was a life-for-life fighting style, only attacking and not defending. Immediately, several shallow wounds were left on Li Feng's body. Li Feng was so angry that he cursed. Li Kui's crazy look was like he wanted to exchange his life for his life and drag him down with him. Watching the fight between the two, Xiao Jian's eyes flashed a fierce look. He moved and rushed towards Li Kui. With Xiao Jian's attack, Li Kui didn't even block a single blow from Xiao Jian. He was beheaded by Xiao Jian's sword. A golden fragment fell from Li Kui and floated towards Xiao Jian. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Fu Huquan and automatically comprehending Fu Huquan. Li Feng's eyelids twitched as he watched this scene. He fought with Li Kui for a long time without getting any advantage, but Xiao Jian came and resolved the battle. Xiao Jian's powerful strength made him feel in awe. After tidying up his messy clothes, Li Feng bowed his hands carefully. May I know your name, brother? Xiao Jian. After spitting out 2 words coldly, Xiao Jian came to Xiao Ling's side and hugged Ling who had her eyes closed tightly. Ling who was trembling all over, smelled a familiar smell and then opened her eyes. The two of them rested quietly in the prison car. Xiao Jian immediately checked the harvest and shouted in his heart, System, open the panel. Name, Xiao Jian. Age, 16. Skills, minor success of Hunyuan Gong. Martial arts, minor success of Sanyang sword skill, minor success of Tingyu sword skill, minor success of Feiyan body skill, minor success of Fuhu fist. Martial arts experience value, 132. Internal force value, 0. Realm, postnatal 5th level. The internal force value has been used to improve the cultivation, but Xiao Jian feels a headache when looking at the series of rubbish martial arts. It would be a waste to use the martial arts experience value to improve these martial arts. Just when Xiao Jian was still having a headache about these rubbish martial arts, some people in the prison car next to him were shouting. Li Feng frowned. People will die if they compare themselves with others, and goods will be thrown away if they are compared with goods. Compared with Xiao Jian, these people's performance is too bad. After roughly cleaning up the scene, Li Feng came to Xiao Jian and asked, Brother, are you interested in joining the Jinyiwei? All my men have been killed, and now there is no one available. If you agree, I can reserve a position for you as the general flag. An ordinary centurion has only 2 general flags. The other one must be sent by the higher-ups. In fact, he can only decide on one. Giving Xiao Jian one was after careful consideration. Xiao Jian and his group were caught here because they had no money to pay the head tax. Although I don't know why Xiao Jian, a postnatal master, was caught, this also indirectly proves that there is no problem with Xiao Jian's life experience. After going back, I will investigate it again. Xiao Jian nodded. In this world, unless you are extremely powerful, people who don't have power behind them are destined to have a hard time. What's more, the mountain of Dongfang Bubai is pressing on his head. He must seek revenge on Dongfang Bubai. Xiao Jian gave Li Feng enough face and bowed, saying, Greetings, Lord Centurion. Li Feng was overjoyed. Xiao Jian's strength was there, and he had another useful person under his command. Because the people in the mine were killed by the Tiger Gang, there was no need to stay. Li Feng decided to take everyone back. By the way, report the Tiger Gang's affairs. General Xiao Jian also got a BMW, and some silver looted from people in the underworld. Holding his sister in his arms, the group returned to Jinling. Jinling City is the capital of the Ming Dynasty, and its prosperity is naturally not comparable to that of ordinary small cities. In front of the city gate, Xiao Chen saw the behemoth in front of him with his own eyes, and a sense of suffocation came over him. The gray city wall is dozens of feet high and stretches for countless miles. It is like an ancient giant beast lying there. It gives people a sense of antiquity and vicissitudes. At the city gate, the people passing by are being checked by the guards. With Li Feng leading the way, the people passing by immediately hid on both sides. Make way for them to have a wide road. The guards at the city gate did not even dare to stop them and let them pass directly. Xiao Jian and his party entered the city gate unimpeded. After entering the city, the two went their separate ways. Xiao Jian immediately rented a small courtyard to settle Ling'er. Li Feng didn't know where he took the boys and girls. The two agreed to meet at the Northern Fusi. In Jinling City, the Northern Fusi is a big government office. And it is the kind of place that people hate and dogs hate. Everyone knows the reputation of the Jinyiwei, the court's hawks and dogs. Not only people in the rivers and lakes say so, but ordinary people also say so. It is enough to show that its notoriety is far-reaching. After handling his own affairs, Xiao Jian came to the Northern Fusi government office. Li Feng was anxiously waiting for Xiao Jian at the gate. It is not easy to find a powerful subordinate, and he was really worried that Xiao Jian would not come. He was relieved until he saw Xiao Jian's figure. He took Xiao Jian straight into the government office. Several strong men at the gate saw Li Feng and stretched out their hands to stop him. Even if Li Feng was wearing a flying fish suit. After verifying their tokens, he bowed and let the two in. They passed through several exquisite courtyards and a deep corridor along the way, and then stopped in front of a hall. Li Feng stood outside the hall with a solemn look. Li Feng, the centurion, I have something important to ask you to see the 1,000 householder. After a while, a deep voice came from inside, come in. Li Feng carefully brought Xiao Jian to the center of the hall. In the hall, Zhang Zhen sat in front of the hall. He was reviewing the official documents in his hand. Subordinate Li Feng sees you. Li Feng bowed respectfully, and Xiao Jian followed suit and bowed slightly. It was not until Zhang Zhen waved his hand that the two of them straightened up. Li Feng said respectfully, Your Excellency, a few days ago, I was ordered to take 300 untouchables who had not paid taxes to the mine, but was robbed and killed by Li Kui, the leader of the Qingmu Hall of the Tiger Gang under the Sun and Moon Sect. This thief is so bold that he dared to bloodbath the imperial court's mines and killed many colleagues. All the Jinyiwei who followed him were killed. Please give your instructions. Hearing this, Zhang Zhen turned his eyes away from the official documents. His eyebrows were furrowed high. His right hand slapped the table vigorously. Bang! This tiger gang is so bold that they dared to attack the imperial court's mines. Isn't this a slap in the face of the imperial court? The first thing Zhang Zhen thought of was the face of the imperial court, as if the dead Jinyiwei didn't matter. At this time, Xiao Jian suddenly found a golden fragment floating towards him. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of the powerful Vajra palm. Automatically comprehend the powerful Vajra palm. Xiao Jian's eyes lit up. Finally, there is a decent martial art. The Vajra palm is one of the 72 Shaolin Kung Fu skills, and its power is beyond words. If you practice it to the extreme, a pair of iron palms can break anything and be indestructible. Zhang Zhen looked up at Li Feng and said, I will replenish your men later. During this time, you should go to the imperial prison first. There is a shortage of manpower there. Come back when everyone is here. After saying that, Zhang Zhen waved his hand and signaled the two to leave. Li Feng's face changed. Go to the imperial prison. That place is gloomy and terrifying, with a messy atmosphere, and there is nothing to gain. If you are unlucky, you will encounter some jailbreakers. Although it is said that you may not encounter them once a year, who can tell what luck is? Anyway, as long as there are jailbreakers, the Jinyiwei in the imperial prison will basically be gone. Li Feng opened his mouth and was about to leave. Zhang Zhen glanced at Xiao Jian and frowned, who is the young man next to you? Xiao Jian was not wearing a flying fish suit, so he was obviously not a Jinyiwei. Not everyone can enter the Jinyiwei Beijanfuzi Yamen. Li Feng hurriedly explained, this is a good seedling I found when I went to the mine. I am planning to apply for him to be a general flag for me. The general flag is just a small official in front of the 1,000 households, and he is not even worthy of knowing his name. Zhang Zhen lost all interest when he heard it, and waved his hand casually, then let him go to the imperial prison with you, at least you have an acquaintance to use. After that, he asked them to leave. Li Feng looked very ugly when he left the hall. Xiao Jian frowned when he saw this, and it seemed that the imperial prison was not a good place. So he asked, Sir, what is this imperial prison? Is there something inside? Li Feng opened his mouth and forced a smile. It's not that good or bad, but the atmosphere there is not very good, and there is nothing to gain. He didn't want the only general flag under his command to run away. Now he is a commander without troops, and he can only order Xiao Jian to go to the imperial prison. The people under the other centurions may be respectful on the surface, but he can't order them to do anything. After all, they are not his subordinates, so there is no need to listen to him. Maybe he is worried that Xiao Jian will run away. Li Feng quickly completed the entry procedures for Xiao Jian, and he received the Feiyu suit and embroidered spring sword. Li Feng also explained various matters about going to the imperial prison, and then left with peace of mind. Xiao Jian also returned to the small courtyard he rented. In Jinling City, the rent of a simple courtyard is not cheap. It costs 50 taels of silver a month. Luckily, he has some small silver from the Tiger Gang, otherwise he really doesn't know how to settle down. Xiao Ling was waiting for Xiao Jian quietly in the yard. Seeing Xiao Jian, he immediately flew into his arms. Brother, why did you come back just now? Ling misses you so much. Although only half a day had passed, it felt like a century to Ling. Xiao Jian touched her little head and whispered, Are you hungry? Brother will take you to eat delicious food. Thinking of the hard days when the two of them depended on each other, Xiao Jian felt a dull pain in his heart. Their father was a blacksmith. Since their parents died in the casual wave of Dongfang Bubai, the two of them lived by selling some scrap iron left by their father. In the end, they had nothing to sell and could not pay the head tax, so they were caught by the Jinyiwei and taken to the mine. Xiao Jian took Ling to eat a lot in Jinling, and they didn't go home until they were full. Looking at the sleeping Ling, Xiao Jian raised the corner of his mouth slightly. It's great to have a sister. Lying on the bed, Xiao Jian opened the system panel. Name, Xiao Jian. Age, 16. Kung Fu, minor success of Hunyuan Gong. Martial arts, minor success of Sanyang sword skill, minor success of Tingyu sword skill, minor success of Feiyan body skill, minor success of Vajra palm. Martial arts experience, 132. Internal force, 0. Realm, 5th stage of acquired heaven. Looking at the 132 martial arts experience, Xiao Jian added all of them to Vajra palm. New changes also appeared on the system panel. Name, Xiao Jian. Age, 16. Kung Fu, minor success of Hunyuan Gong. Martial arts, minor success of Sanyang sword skill, minor success of Tingyu sword skill, minor success of Feiyan body skill, great success of Vajra palm 32 1000. Martial arts experience, 0. Internal force, 0. Realm, 5th stage of acquired heaven. Obviously, another 1000 martial arts experience points will be needed to complete Vajra palm. After daybreak, Xiao Jian followed Li Feng's instructions, wearing Feiyu clothing and an embroidered spring sword on his waist, and came to the gate of the imperial prison. Not long after, Li Feng also came to the imperial prison to join Xiao Jian. The two walked into the prison together. Stop, show your token. The strong man at the door shouted loudly. After the two showed their tokens, the strong man welcomed them in. The atmosphere in the prison was gloomy, and the breath inside was very violent and chaotic. Xiao Jian knew why Li Feng's face turned ugly after he received this task from the Qinhu Zongtang yesterday. If you stay in such a violent and chaotic environment for a long time, your cultivation may regress. Another centurion, Wang Cheng, obviously also got the news that Li Feng and his men were coming, and waited inside early in the morning. Captain Wang, please take care of me in the future. Li Feng greeted Captain Wang very familiarly. Xiao Jian bowed to Captain Wang and shouted, Hello, Lord Wang. Wang Cheng smiled at Xiao Jian very kindly. He turned to Li Feng and said, Brother Li, the imperial prison is short of staff recently. You guys are a great help to me. After a brief greeting, Wang Cheng took the two of them around the imperial prison, introducing the cells and prisoners inside to them. Cell No. 11. Wang Cheng pointed to the disheveled old man who was chained tightly inside and said, "This is a man from the demonic path, with the Shantian realm cultivation, and a running dog of the Tianxiahui. He has done many things that are detrimental to the court. In order to raise funds for the demonic path, he once robbed and killed hundreds of caravans. Thousands of people died. Some wealthy merchants suffered heavy losses." The old man heard Wang Cheng's voice and looked up. "Ah, a court hawk." Wang Cheng was furious and slapped him. "Behave yourself when you come in. Haven't you suffered enough?" As Captain Wang slapped him, a golden fragment fell and merged into Xiao Jian's body. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value +10. Xiao Jian's eyes lit up. Then he slapped him. "You said the court's lackeys in front of the Jinyiwei, you deserve to be beaten." Another golden fragment fell down and merged into Xiao Jian's body. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value +10. Xiao Jian's move made several people stunned for a moment. I didn't expect that a handsome young man would be so courageous and bold. Even the old devil was stunned for a moment. Then his face quickly turned red, and his eyes were about to spit fire. The iron chain on his body was pulled and rattled. "Stinky boy, you dare to hit me. I will kill you." The old man struggled frantically, and the iron chain, which was bigger than his thumb, made an unpleasant creaking sound. If it weren't for the sealed acupuncture points and the iron chain that was locked tightly, he would definitely make the boy in front of him pay the price. Xiao Jian's face was cold, and he slapped him again. "Pa, I hate people scolding me the most. I'll hit you every time you scold me." Wang Cheng admired Xiao Jian's behavior. "Brother Li, this guy is very much my cup of tea. I wonder if you can give him up and transfer him to my side. He manages the imperial prison, and what he lacks is talent like Xiao Jian. He is bold and has a strong hand." Li Feng laughed and declined politely. "Brother, I only have this general flag in my hand now. Brother Wang, please show mercy." The two walked while laughing and continued to check the next cell. In the cell, the old man was about to vomit blood. "Why is this kid so hot?" He looked at Xiao Jian with eyes that looked like he wanted to eat him, but he didn't scold him again. He hated Xiao Jian to death in his heart. Xiao Jian watched the two people walking farther and farther away, turned back and slapped him again with a paw, and then followed him. "I was so angry." The old man almost went crazy. He didn't say anything and got a slap in the face for no reason. Just as he was about to curse again, Xiao Jian walked away without looking back. Following the two of them, he came to another prisoner. The person imprisoned in this cell is not an ordinary person either. He is Shu Da, a disciple of Lu Qijin, the trans-sea demon god, and one of the 10 great demon gods of the Sun and Moon Sect. His innate cultivation is unfathomable. His swordsmanship is superb. In the last fight with the court, he killed hundreds of Jinyiwei with one sword, which is extremely hateful. Shu Da raised his eyebrows and laughed strangely. Thank you, thank you." It seemed that killing hundreds of Jinyiwei with one sword was a glorious thing. On the side, Xiao Jian rushed over and slapped Shu Da in the face. He was stunned directly. "Pa, you slaughtered Jinyiwei, you deserve to be beaten." A golden fragment fell and merged into Xiao Jian's body. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value +15. Wang Cheng looked at Xiao Jian as if he saw a treasure. In the imperial prison, prisoners often need to be executed. But these people are all acquired cultivation, and they have an instinctive fear of some enemies who cross the realm. Sometimes, it will even happen that the Jinyiwei will be scared away by the prisoners. It's extremely embarrassing. Look at Xiao Jian again. He doesn't seem to feel uncomfortable at all when facing these innate masters. Born to do this. So a funny scene appeared in the cell. Li Feng and the other two were introducing the prisoners in front, while Xiao Jian slapped them all the way. In half a day, he had gained 255 points of internal force. The gain was not small. Xiao Jian silently called the system in his heart. "System, use internal force." Then a huge amount of spiritual energy came from the dark and was forcibly injected into Xiao Jian's body. The spiritual energy traveled through the 8 meridians and finally flowed into the dantian. Xiao Jian's cultivation also rose with it. Acquired 6th level. Acquired 7th level. It stopped until the peak of the acquired 7th level. It was only 1 step away from the acquired 8th level. And Xiao Jian only spent half a day. This cultivation speed, the peerless genius would shed tears of envy. After the breakthrough, Xiao Jian immediately pulled out his attribute panel. Name: Xiao Jian. Age: 16. Kung Fu, minor Hunyuan Gong. Martial arts: minor Sanyang sword skill, minor Tingyu sword skill, minor Feiyan body skill, great power Vajrapam 32 1000. Martial arts experience: 0. Internal force: 0. Realm: 7th level of the acquired realm. Just then, a Jinyiwei came outside and said, "The prisoner in cell A is going to be brought in for questioning." Wang Chengli, who received the news, immediately called Li Feng and Xiao Jian to bring him in. The prisoner in cell A is the strongest person in the imperial prison. His cultivation has reached the peak of the Shantian realm. It is said that it took the Grand Master to catch him. Xiao Jian and the other 2 are considered strong among the jailers. There is no other way. A true Shantian master would not bother to come to this dark and gloomy cell with a violent aura. He would only guard outside the imperial prison. The 3 of them worked together to barely bring the prisoner in cell number 1 to the torture device and fix him. Then someone went to invite an adult over. The person who came was actually Zhang Zhen, the captain. Zhang Zhen was a master-level cultivator. He was also considered a top expert in the entire Jinyiwei. A jailer carefully brought a chair and placed it aside. After Zhang Zhen sat down, he asked the prisoner, "Chengalin, what do you think the Tianxiahui will look for in Tianshan?" Chengalin, the prisoner number 1, snorted coldly and looked at Zhang Zhen with contempt. Zhang Zhen frowned slightly. He has been locked up for so long and still doesn't confess. Do you really think Jinyiwei is a charity? With a wink, Wang Chengli next to him immediately understood what he meant and whipped with the whip in his hand. Snap, snap, snap. One by one, golden fragments fell. Xiao Jian raised the corner of his mouth slightly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value plus 20. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value plus 20. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the wind and thunder step fragment, automatically comprehending the body movement wind and thunder step. The system's prompt sound kept ringing, and Xiao Jian wished that Wang Cheng would keep fighting like this. Anyway, this Cheng Lin is not a good person. After fighting for a long time, Cheng Lin didn't say a word. Everyone frowned. Cheng Lin laughed and said, "Is this all the Jinyiwei can do? A kid of the 5th level of the acquired realm, you have to use some strength to hit people." Wang Cheng's face darkened. Even if the masters of the innate realm are sealed, they still have physical strength. With the defense of the physical body, it is indeed difficult to shake the 5th level of the acquired realm warriors. Unless you use a cultivation weapon. But if you don't do it well, you can beat people to death. This is embarrassing. Xiao Jian's eyes flashed, and he suddenly said, "Sir, you can try Ling Kai." Everyone's eyes were focused on Xiao Jian. Xiao Jian said solemnly, "It is indeed not so easy to make a congenital master confess by whipping him like this. But we can wrap him up with a fishing net, and then cut his flesh piece by piece with a knife. With the self-healing ability of a congenital master, it should not be so easy to die." Everyone was stunned. There is such a method of execution. The most common punishment they use is whipping and burning with red iron. No one has ever tried a method like Xiao Jian. Zhang Zhen nodded with a little surprise. Anyway, there is no good way now, why not let him try? With a wave of his hand, someone soon brought a fishing net. After wrapping up Cheng Lin, Wang Cheng suddenly said, "Xiao Jian, this method is what you came up with, so you should do it." After speaking, he handed the knife to Xiao Jian. Xiao Jian's mouth twitched. He just moved his mouth, not wanting to do it. But everyone was watching, and it would be unreasonable not to do anything. So he nodded, walked to Cheng Lin and started to execute. Cheng Lin looked at the tender-skinned boy in front of him and sneered disdainfully, "Boy, you are the first to come out even though you are nothing. Is there no one left in the Jinyiwei? Even so, many jailers couldn't do anything to him, so I don't believe that this boy can do anything. Although his peak innate strength was sealed, his physical defense was still there, and his skin was thick. Xiao Jian didn't say anything, but just aimed the knife at a small piece of protruding meat and cut it hard. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Qingmingju fragment and automatically comprehending the Qingmingju. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value plus 20. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of Luo Huan Palm and automatically comprehending Luo Huan Palm. As Xiao Jian cut with a small knife, the system prompt sound in his mind never stopped. At first, Cheng Lin didn't think it was anything, just a small piece of meat, just like a mosquito bite. But as time went by, he slowly felt something was wrong. He lost more and more blood, and the speed was getting faster and faster. More importantly, he saw his flesh being cut off piece by piece with his own eyes, and the psychological fear was lingering. His whole face was twisted. Wang Cheng liked Xiao Jian more and more. This kid is simply a genius to be a jailer. Such a method can also be thought of. Zhang Zhen looked weird. This young man in front of him looked harmless, who knew he was so cruel. He cut human flesh one by one, and his face didn't change. He had seen many cruel people, but he had never seen a man as old as Xiao Jian. Cheng Lin felt his vitality was draining away, and the fear in his heart became more and more difficult to suppress. He couldn't help but shout loudly, "Little fool, if you have the guts, give me a quick death. Give me a quick death." The trembling voice made everyone around know that Cheng Lin's psychological defense line had collapsed. Now is the best time to pry open his mouth. Zhang Zhen said loudly, "Cheng Lin, what exactly is the Tianxiahui doing in Tianshan?" The Tianxiahui on the top of Tianshan is a big cancer of the court. And the recent situation is getting more and more wrong. That's why the Jinyiwei took the risk of capturing a Pekinate strongman when they clashed with the Tianxiahui. It was to open a gap from him. Cheng Lin laughed. "You want to know? I won't tell you. Kill me if you have the guts." Xiao Jian said slowly, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. To cut the meat like this, you have to cut 3,600 knives to complete a round. It's still early now." Everyone present froze, and even Zhang Zhen felt his hair stand up. The punishment of Lingqi is not unbearable, it's too scary. Watching his own flesh being cut off piece by piece, how thick nerves must be to bear it. Cheng Lin was so scared that he trembled all over. 3,600 cuts are only one round. If he really wants to endure this punishment, how many cuts will he have to take? He hurriedly shouted, I confess, Tianxiahui is preparing to attack Wushuang City." Zhang Zhen's expression changed drastically. The current scale of Tianxiahui's power has made the court very worried. If it swallows up Wushuang City, then the momentum of Tianxiahui swallowing up the world will be unstoppable. Li Feng and others beside him turned pale. If Tianxiahui and the court have another wave of trouble, they will definitely be sent out. This is the responsibility of the Northern Pacification Division, and no one can escape. And with their strength, they are basically cannon fodder. Zhang Zhen shouted with a dark face, "Stop, take him away and keep him under good care." After saying that, he turned around and left without caring about the reactions of several people. Obviously he went to report. Xiao Jian sighed. Such a good opportunity ended so quickly. Cheng Lin had contributed a lot of martial arts fragments to him just now. It would have been better if it was a little later. But this unsatisfied expression was a bit disgusting to Li Feng and others. A young man with clear eyebrows and eyes like stars turned out to be a pervert who tortured people. The contrast was a bit big, making it difficult for several people to adapt. After taking Cheng Lin away, Xiao Jian leaned against a pillar beside him to count his gains. System, open the attribute panel. Name, Xiao Jian. Age, 16. Kung Fu, minor success of Hunyuan Kung Fu, minor success of Qingmingju. Martial arts, minor success of Sanyang sword skill, minor success of Tingyu sword skill, minor success of Feiyan body skill, minor success of Luohuan palm, minor success of Fengali step, great success of Dali Vajra palm 32 1000. Martial arts experience value, 0. Internal force value, 475. Realm, acquired 7th level. After converting all the internal force values into cultivation, Xiao Jian's strength has successfully reached the 9th level of the acquired realm. Even among the centurions, he is not the bottom. Wang Cheng and Li Feng are the weakest among the centurions of the Jinyiwei. Otherwise, they would not do such dirty and tiring work as guarding the imperial prison and sending people to the mines. Generally speaking, the centurions of the Jinyiwei must be in the innate realm to have the opportunity to serve. However, there are special cases. That is hereditary. The fathers of Wang Cheng and Li Feng were centurions of the Jinyiwei. They passed down the official position after they died in the line of duty. So the two of them can become centurions because of the influence of the previous generation. Because of Xiao Jian's outstanding performance today, Xiao Jian has basically contracted the torture in the prison since then. He is also happy to do this kind of thing, and he never gets tired of it. The angry curses of prisoners can often be heard from the imperial prison. In fact, Xiao Jian has made a lot of punishments to torment them. Like salt water and pepper water on the whip are all small tricks. It was just short of putting together the 10 tortures of the Qing dynasty. The prisoners in the imperial prison were tortured. The next day, Xiao Jian's target was a lay disciple of Shaolin Temple, Xu Jing. Xu Jing, who had innate cultivation, was not a good person either. He had mastered the Shaolin horizontal training kung fu to perfection. Relying on his innate cultivation and this horizontal training kung fu, he robbed a wealthy merchant family in Junding Prefecture. He also killed the whole family. This wealthy merchant family was not a simple wealthy merchant family. I heard that there was a peerless strong man in his ancestor, but no one knows whether it is true or not. Xu Jing was full of disdain when he saw Xiao Jian. Little fool, are you the one who made these weaklings in the prison scream? He has been tortured by the screams of those weaklings these days. He didn't even get a good night's sleep. The surrounding Jinyiwei showed pity. This monk obviously has never suffered any loss. Xiao Jian raised the corner of his mouth slightly, revealing a harmless expression. He just makes a living in the imperial prison. I'm sorry to offend you later. After saying that, he picked up the whip beside him. Xu Jing laughed loudly. I am not one of those people who can't bear any hardship. But your small body can do it, don't hurt your waist later. Xiao Jian smiled faintly and didn't answer. He was very envious of the 72 unique skills of Shaolin Temple. It would be amazing if each skill was practiced to the extreme. Shaolin Kung Fu is widely spread in the world, and there are many people who practice it, but not many can really practice it to the great success. Not to mention perfection. There are few people in the whole world who can practice Shaolin's unique skills to the perfect level. Xiao Jian has martial arts experience points, which is not a problem for him. As long as the experience points are enough, he can directly push the martial arts level to the ultimate. These days, he has accumulated a lot of internal strength and martial arts experience points. As long as he wants, he can instantly improve his strength to the innate level. But recently his strength has improved too fast. It only took a few days to go from the 5th level of the acquired realm to the 9th level of the acquired realm. If he suddenly breaks through the innate realm, it might cause unnecessary trouble. Anyway, it is still safe in the imperial prison. When he needs to break through, he can break through at any time. There is no need to rush. Xiao Jian looked at the Shaolin monk in front of him with full of expectations. Several Jinyiweis tied Xu Jing to the rack neatly. Xiao Jian swung the long whip in his hand, leaving a white mark on Xu Jing's body. A golden fragment fell down. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the iron shirt fragment and automatically comprehending the iron shirt. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Great Stone Smasher fragment and automatically comprehending the Great Stone Smasher. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Internal Force fragment, internal force value plus 15. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Arhat Fist fragment and automatically comprehending the Arhat Fist. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Iron Shirt fragment, martial arts experience value plus 10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Great Stone Smasher fragment, martial arts experience value plus 10. Xu Jing is worthy of being a lay disciple of Shaolin Temple, and various Shaolin martial arts emerge in an endless stream. A series of system prompts sounded in Xiao Jian's mind, making his heart beat wildly. This time the harvest is too great. The shortcomings in martial arts have been completely made up. Xu Jing laughed and said, "That's it. Those cowardly things can't even bear this little bit of hardship. They cry and howl every day, causing me to not sleep well. This guy, it seems that he has to use some tricks." Xiao Jian put down the whip in his hand and immediately ordered his Jinyiwei colleague beside him, "Bring me the bamboo sticks I cut." Because Xiao Jian's tricks were cruel enough and his strength was strong enough, he had some status in the imperial prison. Ordinary Jinyiwei could be ordered around. A Jinyiwei immediately bowed to Xiao Jian and ran out. When he came back, he was holding a handful of bamboo sticks that Xiao Jian had cut. The bamboo sticks were no longer than fingers and as thin as steel needles. Xiao Jian played with the bamboo sticks and said, "You killed a family of 17 in Jinling Prefecture, not even the elderly and children were spared, so I will use 17 bamboo sticks to seek justice for them." A flash of anger flashed in Xiao Jian's eyes. In the eyes of these warriors, human life is so cheap that they kill at will. Maybe for these warriors, the lives of ordinary people have never been within their consideration. Whether it is the righteous way or the evil way. And this is what Xiao Jian hates the most. Xu Jing laughed loudly, his face showing even more disdain. Just relying on these small bamboo sticks. The Jinyiwei of the Ming dynasty is nothing more than this. He has been in the imperial prison for quite a while, and he has never even had a scratch on his skin. Naturally, he did not have so many scruples in his words. Xiao Jian sneered, grabbed Xu Jing's finger, and pierced his fingernail with a bamboo stick. "Ah!" Xu Jing suddenly screamed, scaring the Jinyiwei next to him. They had tortured Xu Jing before, but he didn't say a word, but instead mocked them. They were very angry, but there was nothing they could do. The adults above didn't say anything, they couldn't kill him, right? Why did he scream so loudly just because of a bamboo stick? Xu Jing's scream did not affect Xiao Jian, and he continued to insert the second one with a faint expression. "Ah!" Another scream, everyone's hair stood on end. "Does it hurt so much? It's just a bamboo stick." They don't know that the pain is connected to the heart, not to mention that the bamboo stick is made of fine fibers. And the bamboo sticks have not been carefully polished, and there are small thorns on them. It is equivalent to being stabbed by thousands of small needles in the flesh, which is not the same as being cut by a sword. After stabbing the fingers and toes, Xiao Jian also heard 17 system prompts in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the Great Stone Breaker, Martial Arts Experience +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Internal Force Fragments, Internal Force +10. Xu Jing was trembling all over at this time, and wanted to pull out the bamboo stick but couldn't do it at all. The whole body was locked tightly by the iron chain, and it was difficult to move. Gritting his teeth and roaring at Xiao Jian, "Little fool, you remember it. I won't forgive you when I get out." Xiao Jian has heard this kind of words many times. Which prisoner didn't say that? That has to wait until they can get out. Xiao Jian snorted coldly, "Why do you want to attack that family? They don't know you at all. There's no reason for you to travel thousands of miles from Fuzhou to Jinling Prefecture to kill people, right?" Xiao Jian's words made Xu Jing's eyes wander. Li Feng and Wang Cheng, who were watching the excitement on the side, looked at each other, and a gleam of light flashed in their eyes. They really haven't thought about this problem. Ordinary warriors just kill ordinary people, they have seen it a lot. They don't think there is anything wrong. But Xiao Jian's question made the two pay attention. "Little fool, do I need a reason to kill people?" Xu Jing shouted while holding back the pain. "If you want to kill, kill, don't use this little trick to test me." Xiao Jian was not in a hurry, there was still a long way to go. The people in this prison were all his experienced babies, they couldn't be killed. After another toss, he took the people back. Passing by many prison cells along the way, everyone who saw Xiao Jian gnashed their teeth in hatred. They wanted to eat his flesh and drink his blood. But no matter how much they hated him, no one dared to curse him. Seeing this scene, Li Feng smiled bitterly and said, "Xiao Jian, you have to be careful in the future. These people must hate you to death." The people who were caught in the imperial prison were all ruthless, and there were also many masters in the innate realm. And there were also examples of people who escaped from the imperial prison. It is inevitable that they will be retaliated at that time. The probability is not high, but it does not mean that there is no possibility. They, the Jinyiwei, have a bad reputation, but the most hated one here is definitely Xiao Chen, who has just arrived. If they really want to escape and come back for revenge, their first target must be Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard this. But as long as his own strength is improved, this is not a problem. After finishing the work, when he returned to his small room in the Imperial prison to rest, he said to himself, "System, open the attribute panel." Name: Xiao Chen. Age: 16. Kung Fu. Minor success of Hunyuan Gong, minor success of Qingming Ju. Martial arts: minor success of Sanyang sword skill, minor success of Tingyu sword skill, minor success of Feiyan body skill, great success of Vajrapalm 32 1000, minor success of Luahuan Palm, minor success of Wind and Thunder Step, minor success of Iron Shirt, minor success of Smashing Monument Hand, minor success of Arhat Fist. Martial arts experience value: 23,534. Internal force value: 1450. Realm: 9th level of acquired heaven. Xiao Chen thought about it, and it takes 1,000 martial arts points to go from minor success to major success, and 10,000 martial arts points to complete success. And what he needs most now is to have a powerful martial arts to rely on. With a thought, he pushed Vajrapalm to complete success. By the way, he also pushed Wind and Thunderstep to major success. In this way, he can attack or retreat when encountering troubles. As for cultivation, as long as he is willing, he can enter the Shantian realm at any time. A 16-year-old Shantian is one of the best talents in the world. Moreover, how long has he been practicing now? Less than a month. So he is not panicked at all. Life in the Imperial prison is still so monotonous. Every day, he is either tortured or bragging and drinking with a group of Jinyiwei. Xiao Chen has also completely integrated into the crowd. But the good times did not last long. Soon he ushered in the first disaster of the Imperial prison. At night, when Xiao Chen and Li Feng were on night duty, he was dozing off but suddenly woke up. There are people outside. In addition to the Jinyiwei who were dozing off in the Imperial prison, there were actually outsiders. And the cultivation level of the outsiders was definitely not low, at least in the Shantian realm. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. He immediately used his internal force to absorb a stone in his hand and threw it hard on the warning bronze gong in the aisle. Dang! The sound of the huge bronze gong spread far in the silent night. All the Jinyiwei were awakened. What happened? Someone actually rang the alarm gong. Could it be that the prisoner escaped? Quickly notify the garrison commander. The Jinyiwei began to shout in panic. Some immediately went to check the prisoner's cell, and some went to notify the garrison commander. They were busy but orderly, and it was obvious that they had received special training. Hey, I was discovered. A young man with sword-like eyebrows swooped down from a high place and glanced at the Jinyiwei in the prison with a look of surprise. With his strength, he shouldn't be discovered by the Jinyiwei in the prison, right? Even the innate masters guarding the prison outside didn't notice his arrival, so how could he be discovered after entering the prison? But this was not the time to think about this problem. Who dares to break into the Jinyiwei prison? Li Feng was horrified when he saw the black-clothed man jumping down from his head not far away, and shouted in panic. Wouldn't he be so unlucky to encounter a prison break? A prison break that happens less than once a year actually happened to him, a newcomer. Those who dare to rob the prison are not good people. Whenever someone robs the prison, the Jinyiwei guarding the Imperial prison will not have a good end. Usually the end is annihilation. When Xiao Chen saw the enemy coming, he thought and converted all his internal force into cultivation. Boom! A huge amount of spiritual energy rushed into Xiao Chen's body, allowing his cultivation to instantly break through to the first level of innateness. However, in a blink of an eye, Xiao Chen's strength took a big step forward. Although it was only upgraded to one level, the internal force in his body was incomparable to the 9th level of acquired nature. It was more than 10 times stronger. The young man glanced at the many Jinyiwei who surrounded him, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Wind God leg. The figure disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the leg shadows in the sky attacked everyone in vain. Puff, puff, a series of vomiting blood sounded. Li Feng and many Jinyiwei were kicked and flew out on the spot. The person spat out a mouthful of blood in midair and died on the spot. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of the Wind God leg and automatically comprehending the Wind God leg. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of the Wind God leg, martial arts experience +1. Xiao Jian ignored the system prompt sound in his mind and blasted out with both palms without hesitation when the leg shadow attacked. The perfect Vajra palm was extremely powerful, and the leg shadow was blasted apart when it collided with the palms. Ni Feng was surprised. This Jinyiwei, who looked even smaller than him, could actually get through one move in his hands. And it looked like he didn't even use his full strength. You know, he is a famous young genius in the world. Could it be that this Jinyiwei is more talented than him? As the two of them fought, the entire imperial prison seemed to be plowed through. The doors of the cells near the two of them were kicked in. Seeing the door destroyed, many prisoners began to shout before they came out. Where is that little fool? I'm going to skin him alive. Where is that? I'm going to make him taste the taste of bamboo sticks. He's going to be tortured to death. I'm going to cut him 3,600 times. I can't miss the saltwater whip either. I'm going to make him taste them all. Xiao Jian's body trembled. Are you all so arrogant? I should have been more focused earlier. But now I don't have the energy to care about these experienced babies. Ni Feng in front of me is not easy to deal with. The two of them fought from the imperial prison to the outside. Ni Feng retreated violently and stood on the roof, looking at Xiao Jian solemnly. The Jinyiwei in front of him is really difficult to deal with. The powerful Vajra palm is actually practiced to the level of the master. The two palms are powerful and the moves are endless. Instead of fighting hundreds of moves, he even felt a slight pain in his feet. Boy, who are you? Ni Feng frowned and asked Xiao Jian closely. Xiao Jian looked at Ni Feng in front of him without saying anything, just looking at him indifferently. Wind God leg. Ni Feng from Tianxiahui. Xiao Jian's heart moved. Ni Feng at this time obviously has not grown up yet. It's just a congenital cultivation, so naturally he has not betrayed Tianxiahui. In the future, Ni Feng can compete with Shangba. If he can be used for his own purposes. Thinking of this, his eyes lit up, and he looked at Ni Feng with eagerness. At this time, pieces of golden fragments merged into Xiao Jian's body, and the system sound kept ringing. Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of the Wind God leg, experience value +10. Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of the Wind God leg, experience value +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of the internal force value +50. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of the internal force value +50. Ni Feng felt uncomfortable with Xiao Jian's eyes and began to take it seriously. Wind God leg, heavy rain and strong wind. A violent martial art swept towards Xiao Jian. The shadows of legs in the sky were like a storm, coming towards Xiao Jian with a fierce momentum. Even the air was blasted with roars by his legs. Xiao Jian's mouth curled slightly. Powerful Vajra palm. The palms were like the wind, and the perfect Vajra palm was shining with golden light under the blessing of his internal force. The powerful palm shadows stopped the shadows of legs in front of him one by one. Boom! The roar from the direction of the imperial prison was endless. It startled Zhang Wei in the residence of the 1,000 households in the central hall. What a big courage, dare to come to Jinyiwei to make trouble. Zhang Zhen snorted coldly and quickly rushed towards the direction of the imperial prison. After Xiao Jian integrated all the fallen golden fragments into his body, he smiled faintly at Ni Feng and said, Ni Feng, you and I will meet again. As he spoke, he was full of confidence, and the thunder under his feet exploded and disappeared into the night. Although he was confident that he could keep Ni Feng, there was no need to do so. After all, he was only at the 5th level of the acquired realm a month ago, and it was shocking enough that he entered the innate realm a month later. If Ni Feng was left behind, it would be too eye-catching. A tree that stands out in the forest will inevitably attract too many unnecessary troubles. Anyway, Ni Feng had been fleeced enough in the previous battle. As for winning over Ni Feng, there would be plenty of opportunities in the future. He simply let Ni Feng leave. Anyway, He had tried to stop him, and no one could say anything if he couldn't stop Nifeng. There was a hint of doubt in Nifeng's eyes. He could feel that Xiao Jian didn't use his full strength. And he didn't have any hostility towards him. Especially Xiao Jian's last words made him doubtful. This was not the time to think about this. Nifeng flashed into the prison. Seeing Cheng Lin coming out with scars all over his body, Nifeng's face was gloomy. The people of their Tianxiahui were actually tossed around like this, which was a slap in the face of Tianxiahui. While unblocking Cheng Lin's sealed acupuncture points, he asked, "What happened? Did the Jinyiwei torture you?" Cheng Lin's face looked a little unnatural. He told the Jinyiwei that the Tianxiahui was going to attack Wushuang City. If Nifeng knew about this, he would definitely not have a good ending. He turned his head and looked at the bodies of the Jinyiwei around him, but he didn't see the body of Xiao Jian, whom he hated the most. Cheng Lin's eyes were full of murderous intent, and he gritted his teeth and said, "A kid from the Jinyiwei used some strange punishments on everyone in the imperial prison. He tortured us all. Master, did you see a fair-looking kid when you came? He looked like a teenager." Nifeng looked strange, and the figure of Xiao Jian appeared in his mind. Is it a handsome boy who looks harmless? The people who came out were also looking for Xiao Jian's figure, and they all looked at Nifeng when they heard this. "Yes, that kid, he's evil-minded. I'm going to cut off his flesh piece by piece. And I'm going to stick bamboo sticks into his fingers. Whip him with a whip dipped in salt water, you." The angry crowd started shouting. They have been in the underworld for many years, but they suffered such a big loss at the hands of Xiao Jian. They must get back at him. Otherwise, they won't be able to think straight. Nifeng raised his eyebrows when he heard what everyone said. What hatred and resentment. It made these people in the underworld so angry. A group of people were clamoring to catch Xiao Jian, but Nifeng stopped Cheng Lin, who wanted to join the search. "This is the Jinyiwei prison. Their master is coming. Let's go first." After saying that, he took Cheng Lin away from here. Some smart ones also took the opportunity to run away, such as Monk Shu Jing, but most of them were blinded by hatred. Looking for Xiao Jian's figure inside. Boom. A violent master's momentum descended from the sky, awakening everyone from hatred. "Run. The reinforcements from the prison are coming. It's over, the acupuncture points on the body haven't been unlocked yet. You fool, it's all that boy's fault, otherwise I wouldn't have made such a mistake." Everyone panicked and wanted to leave, but it was already too late. Qinhu Zhongzhen walked in with a dark face. When he saw the chaos in the prison and the many Jinyi guards who had obviously expired, his anger welled up. "Get back here, everyone." Blessed by the huge internal force, the sounds in the small prison were surging back and forth. Ah! The prisoners whose acupoints were sealed fell to the ground and screamed. Without internal protection, it would be impossible to withstand such a sonic attack. On the other side, Xiao Jian found a safe corner and shouted in his heart. "System, open the properties panel. Name, Xiao Jian. Age, 16. Kung Fu. Hunyuan Gong has a small success, Qingmingju has a small success. Martial arts. Minor accomplishment in Sanyong sword technique, minor accomplishment in Tingyu sword technique, minor accomplishment in Feiyan movement, perfect Vajra palm, minor accomplishment in Luo Huan palm, minor accomplishment in Wind and Thunder step 66 10,000, minor accomplishment in Iron cloth shirt, throw a small success in the monument hand, a small success in the Luohan fist, and a small success in the function kick. Martial arts experience value, 12,534. Internal force value, 350. Realm, first level of innateness. At the same time, the system's voice sounded in his mind. The host has entered the path of martial arts, the system mall is opened. The recycling function is activated. System mall, recycling function. Xiao Jian is overjoyed. He quickly looked at it. Pangu scripture, priced at 99,999 experience points. 89 mysterious skills, priced at 99,999 experience points. The concept of chaos gods and demons is priced at 99,999 experience points. Xiao Jian opened his mouth wide and looked at this scene in disbelief. The great god Pangu has all the cultivation techniques and tips, so what else is there that he doesn't have? But after seeing the series of nines behind it, I suddenly woke up. If you don't have any experience points, it's a waste of time. I searched all the way down for a technique that could suit me, and finally, after a lot of effort, I found a technique that gave me some hope. The first chapter of the Divine Elephant's Power to Suppress Prison. Even if it is just the first chapter, it still requires 10,000 experience points. The second article doubled directly. The third chapter is 100 times better if it's really connected. Chapter 4 is 1,000 times better. In other words, just one Divine Elephant's Prison suppressing power will cost tens of millions of experience points. Being able to buy the first article for 10,000 yuan was a huge bargain. System: redeem the first chapter of the Divine Elephant's Prison suppressing power. A stream of information flowed into his mind, and Xiao Jian completely mastered the first chapter of the Divine Elephant's Prison suppressing power. However, since he only redeemed the first chapter, he could only cultivate into giant elephant particles. There is no need to think about the dragon elephant, yuan elephant, and divine elephant particles at the back. But as the top magical skill in the fantasy world, even the cultivation of giant elephant particles is not comparable to others. The internal force of the whole body is absorbed by a microparticle cell in the body. Even with Xiao Jian's level 1 innate cultivation, he could feel the terrifying rate of loss of internal energy. Boom! The absorption of a giant elephant particle is completed. The second one started to absorb again. All the internal energy in Xiao Jian's body was absorbed like this. One after another, the giant elephant particles awaken. After the absorption of the 32 particles was completed, all of Xiao Jian's internal force was stored in the giant elephant particles. 32 innate first-level awakened particles, 840 million particles, I don't know how much internal energy it takes to fill them up. I still have to go back and earn some internal energy points. Xiao Jian calmed down and looked at the recycling function again. Recycling some unused martial arts can be exchanged for martial skill values. Xiao Jian raised his eyebrows. This feature is so useful. Most of the martial arts fragments he picked up were useless basic martial arts. It is tasteless to eat and a pity to throw away. I looked at the sky and saw that it was getting late. The things in the system won't escape, so I can just sort them out again when I have time. It's not urgent anyway. But if I don't go back to the prison, something might happen. Thinking of this, Xiao Jian hurried back. I hope the experienced babies in the prison did not lose too much. At this time, the imperial prison was back to its previous appearance, except that some imperial guards were missing. As soon as Xiao Jian arrived at the gate of the imperial prison, he heard Zhang Zhen's voice coming from inside. Have you checked clearly? After checking, report them to death in the line of duty. A lot of people in the Jinyiwei died this time. All the people guarding the prison were dead except Xiao Jian. A complete establishment of 100 households, plus 100 households Li Feng. Although they are just some low-level Jinyiwei, it will take some time to replenish the manpower. When Xiao Jian heard that Zhang Zhen was going to report him to death in the line of duty, he quickly walked in. You can't lose such a good job. It would be great if he was reported to have died in the line of duty. Grown-ups. Xiao Jian bowed to Zhang Zhen as soon as he entered. Ha, you kid is so good, you actually escaped with your life. Zhang Zhen was still quite impressed by Xiao Jian. He was deeply impressed by Ling Qi's execution method. Xiao Jian said, my subordinate is lucky. He broke through to the innate realm at the critical moment and lost a few moves to the thief. But the thief seemed to be in a hurry to get away, so he escaped. Zhang Zhen was stunned, looking at Xiao Jian with his mouth wide open, not knowing what to say. After a long time, he said, you must be under 17 years old, right? Xiao Jian nodded. Zhang Zhen burst out laughing. Originally, the imperial prison was robbed and so many Jinyiwei died that he would have been criticized. But Xiao Jian's breakthrough to the Shantian realm was enough to offset any negative impact on him. The Jinyiwei who followed Zhang Zhen looked at the young man in front of him with envy. At the age of 17, the Shantian realm is a top genius in the entire martial arts world. After waving his hand to let the other Jinyiwei deal with the scene, Zhang Zhen told Xiao Jian to go to the Qinhu Zongtang the next day and left. As soon as Zhang Zhen left, the rest of the Jinyi guards surrounded him. Master Xiao has a bright future. You must take more care of your brothers in the future. Yes, even Master Qinhu is full of praise for Master Xiao. Maybe he will be promoted to Jinhu soon. A 17-year-old innate master, Mr. Xiao is truly an outstanding person. With such a young master, it never hurts to have more connections. Everyone works together in Jinyiwei, and there is no telling whether Xiao Jian will be able to save their lives one day. In a prison robbery like today, if there is a master protecting you, the possibility of saving your life is much higher. Xiao Jian bowed his hands and greeted everyone politely before returning to the small rented yard. After all the fuss, it was already late at night. Xiao Ling couldn't hold on and fell asleep before her brother came back. Seeing Xiao Ling sleeping soundly, Xiao Jian smiled slightly. His current goal, in addition to being successful in the world of martial arts, is to take good care of this sister. When Linger thought his brother was dead, the crying look was always imprinted in his heart. It makes people feel distressed just thinking about it. Early the next morning, Xiao Jian came to Fuzhou Jinhu Middle Hall in Jinyiwei North Town. When Xiao Jian came, there were already about 10 people waiting there in the Jinyiwei Zongtang. These people are all hundreds of households under Zhongzhen. Seeing Xiao Jian coming, everyone looked very enthusiastic. After all, a genius who is more than 10 years old is the focus of training everywhere. Xiao Jian had no enmity with them, so there was no reason to offend him. Maybe Xiao Jian will have to take care of him in the future. It was too late to show kindness, and no one wanted to offend such a promising colleague. Xiao Jian naturally greeted him very politely. When Zhang Zhen came out, Xiao Jian was already very familiar with everyone. Haha, it seems you don't need me to introduce you. Zhang Zhen said to Xiao Jian with a smile. Everyone bowed their hands and saluted. Okay, now that you all know each other, I won't talk nonsense. Yesterday in the Imperial Prison, our 1,000 household office lost 200 households. Xiao Jian, since you have broken through to Shantian and made contributions in the Imperial Prison, then you can get 100 households. Xiao Jian's expression became serious and he hurriedly accepted. Although he has no pursuit of official position, the greater the official position, the less constraints he is subject to. It is more comfortable than a general flag. However, he will not forget that in this world, martial arts is respected, and strength is the last word. On the side, many people looked at Xiao Jian with envy. These hundreds of households have climbed to this position step by step. It took decades, but Xiao Jian, at only 17 years old, is on an equal footing with them. They have to be moved. But he got into this position based on his ability, and no one can say anything about it. After arranging Xiao Jian's official position, Zhang Zhen asked the others to leave first, leaving Xiao Jian alone. Xiao Jian, I am keeping you here because there is something you need to do. Zhang Zhen looked at Xiao Jian, a smile flashed in his eyes. As long as the 17-year-old Shantian doesn't die young, his cultivation level may be higher than his in the future. You can't treat him the same as everyone else. Sir, if you have anything to do, just ask me. Xiao Jian cupped his hands and said calmly, not proud of Zhang Zhen's politeness. Zhang Zhen nodded with satisfaction. Something happened at the Fuzhou Escort agency in Fuzhou recently. I heard that a martial arts has caused disputes among people in the world. The adults above asked us, the Jinyi guards, to bring him back. I'm going to let you take a trip. Fuzhou, Divine Escort Agency. Isn't that Lin Pingji's hometown? Xiao Zheng remembers that the Lin family was wiped out because of the evil sword manual. Even because of this evil dispelling sword book, there are many people in the palace. Did Zhang Zhen want him to get the sword manual for warding off evil spirits? Xiao Jian was a little stunned. Zhang Zhen looked at Xiao Jian's shocked expression and smiled. What, you don't understand why Jinyiwei sent you? Xiao Jian reacted after hearing Zhang Zhen's words. After pondering for a moment, he said, the court wants me to demonstrate to the people in the world. Innate realm, he is also a master in the world. Not to mention the innate state of a 17-year-old. The sects in the martial arts world have always looked down on those in the imperial court. Because although there are many people in the imperial court, there are many good and bad warriors. There are even fewer people with outstanding talents. Xiao Jian goes out and walks around, which is enough to beat some low-level people in the world. Give Zhonghu sect some shock. Zhang Zhen burst out laughing when he heard this. Although he wanted to give Xiao Jian a lesson, how high Xiao Jian's achievements can be ultimately depends on him. If a person is highly talented in martial arts, his brain must be able to keep up. Otherwise it will just become a sword in the court. And Xiao Jian's performance made his eyes shine. He gave Xiao Jian an encouraging look and continued, "You are very smart, please tell me if you have any other ideas." Xiao Jian nodded, said, "Actually, fundamentally speaking, it is not important to grab the secret book. What is important is to have the voice of Jinyiwei in the world. This trip to get the secret book is just to suppress people in the world and increase the power of the court. If possible, provoking conflicts in the world and letting them kill themselves is the best choice." After saying that, Xiao Jian looked at Zhang Zhen with a calm expression. This answer was considered from the perspective of the court and the Jinyiwei. Basically, all the methods that are beneficial to the court and the Jinyiwei were explained. There is no reason to be wrong. Sure enough, after listening to Xiao Jian's words, Zhang Zhen laughed. Not bad, Xiao Jian, I really didn't misjudge you." Zhang Zhen was very happy. At Xiao Jian's age, this is the first time he has seen someone who can understand the relationship between the court and the world so clearly. It can be said that as long as Xiao Jian does not die, his future achievements will definitely be limitless. Not to mention 100 households, even 1,000 households, the position of a pacification envoy is not impossible. Maybe he, Zhang Zhen, will have to rely on Xiao Jian to take care of him in the future. Thinking of this, Zhang Zhen told Xiao Jian a lot of things in the world. Let Xiao Jian's understanding of this world go to a higher level. After a long time, Zhang Zhen smacked his lips and stopped talking. After saying so much, his mouth was dry. Okay, you can handle the specific things when you get there. The most important thing is to come back alive. Zhang Zhen patted Xiao Jian's shoulder and told him earnestly. Xiao Jian was a person he valued. If Xiao Jian died, all his plans would be ruined. Well, thank you for your advice, Master Qinhu. Xiao Jian felt warm in his heart and bowed his hands carefully. After saying goodbye to Zhang Zhen, Xiao Jian returned to the courtyard. Ling'er had been waiting at home for a long time. She looked at her brother pitifully and stuck to Xiao Jian and refused to leave. Xiao Jian's heart melted. He had a good meal with Ling'er and played around Jinling city again. After settling Ling'er, Xiao Jian set off for Fuzhou. Fuzhou is a small city thousands of miles east of Jinling. The population is only about 300,000. There are not many ordinary warriors, and most of them are acquired warriors. Innate masters can walk sideways in Fuzhou. But after the incident of Fuzhou Escort Agency, the number of foreign warriors in Fuzhou has increased at a visible speed. You can easily see people from the martial arts world carrying weapons on the streets. It is even heard that there are innate warriors. The Jinyiwei guarding the city of Fuzhou has been under great pressure recently. From time to time, they have to deal with some fighting incidents caused by people from the martial arts world. And the strongest Jinyiwei in the entire Fuzhou city is only innate. Facing so many people from the martial arts world, it is inevitable that they are overwhelmed, so they sent a request for help to Jinling. Xiao Jian was also sent here by Zhang Zhen for this reason. For Xiao Jian, the more people who set their eyes on the sword manual of exorcism, the happier he is. At that time, when they fight, they will definitely get a lot of martial arts fragments. After a long journey, he went directly to the inn next to Fuzhou Escort Agency to check in. As soon as he entered the door, many people in the martial arts world holding swords looked over. Seeing Xiao Jian's standard Jinyiwei Feiyu uniform, everyone's face changed, and they couldn't help but whispered. Jinyiwei people, Jinyiwei in their teens, is there no one in the court? It seems that it is another kid who has benefited from the legacy of his ancestors. Why did Jinyiwei get involved? This matter is not easy to handle. The Jinyiwei in Fuzhou has been busy dealing with the troubles in the city, and has never come to the Fuzhou Escort Agency. It shows that he doesn't want to get involved in this matter. A big man sitting at the gate laughed. What about the people in the court? Haven't we killed enough? What's more, it's a kid who hasn't even grown all his hair. The big man's words made everyone laugh. Jinyiwei people are naturally not welcomed by people in the martial arts world. But no one will openly target them. These people just bully Xiao Jian because he is young. There was only a cold-faced man and a calm-looking beauty in the hall, and they seemed to have not heard anything. They just glanced at Xiao Jian, and then stared at the tea in front of them, as if nothing had happened. Xiao Jian's expression turned cold, and he turned to look at the big man who was shouting the loudest. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, and the air in the inn froze. The people who were laughing shuddered. They looked at the teenager in front of them in astonishment. Those who disrespect the court should be killed, Xiao Jian said coldly, and all the 32 giant elephant particles in his body were mobilized, and the power of the 32 giant elephants was condensed in his body. Suddenly, the shadow of an ancient giant elephant appeared behind Xiao Jian. The ancient giant elephant stepped lightly, and the whole void trembled. In an instant, the tables and chairs in the lobby of the inn turned into powder in an instant. And the big man who just spoke arrogantly was crushed to death by the giant elephant shadow. Hiss! The people who stood up quickly gasped and looked at Xiao Jian vigilantly. The ancient pressure of the giant elephant just now made them lose their minds and they were all stunned. Fortunately, Xiao Jian did not attack them, otherwise they would have ended up like that big man. Only the young man and the beautiful woman with a faint expression were relatively calm. But the astonishment in their eyes could also be seen. The young man asked in a deep voice, "What a domineering martial arts! You are the Jinyiwei genius boy mentioned by junior brother Feng, right?" Bu Jingyan looked at Xiao Jian with a serious face. When Ni Feng went back, he also told the Tianxia Association about his encounter with Xiao Jian. It was unbelievable that a teenager in his teens could fight him on equal terms. They were all top geniuses in the world, and they had been carefully taught by Shangba since childhood. Ni Feng actually said that there was a teenager in the Jinyiwei who was more talented than them. Bu Jingyan didn't believe it. Junior brother Feng. Xiao Jian's mind moved. The only person he had fought with was Ni Feng from Tianxiahui, so the one in front of him was Bu Jingyan, the second senior brother of Tianxiahui. Bu Jingyan waved his hand, and the wine spilled on the ground floated up instantly. Paiyan palm. A ball of wine rushed towards Xiao Jian under the burst of Bu Jingyan's palm power. The sound of breaking through the air was sharp and piercing. Is this Bu Jingyan from Tianxiahui? Someone recognized him and couldn't help but exclaimed. There are not many martial arts that can drive water flow, and the most famous one is the Paiyan palm of Tianxiahui. When Bu Jingyan used it, people with broad knowledge immediately recognized it. It is said that Bu Jingyan is a top-level Shantian master with unfathomable strength. This Jinyiwei is in trouble. This kid is too arrogant. If he meets a real Zhonghu genius, he will be crippled if not dead. The people in the Zhonghu nearby were waiting to see Xiao Jian's joke. Just now, their minds were taken away and they lost face. Now they were all holding back a grudge. Ah! The giant elephant behind Xiao Jian roared, the void trembled, and the terrible ancient pressure descended again. Puff! Bu Jingyan's Paiyan palm was easily crushed 3 feet away from Xiao Jian in full view of everyone, and the sharp wine turned into mist and dissipated into nothingness. Not bad. No wonder junior brother Feng praised you so much. Bu Jingyan said lightly and stopped. He just wanted to test Xiao Jian's strength. Let's see if Xiao Jian is as amazing as junior brother Feng said. All the people in the martial arts world around him were eclipsed. The eyes looking at Xiao Jian were no longer playful. They were not qualified to look down on the young strong man who could be recognized by Bu Jingyan. At this time, a piece of golden fragment merged into Xiao Jian's body, and the system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Paiyan palm and automatically comprehending Paiyan palm. Xiao Jian narrowed his eyes. He had gained something just after coming here. Not bad. He was looking forward to the confrontation later. His eyes turned to the beauty on the other side. When he attacked the big man who provoked the court just now, she and Bu Jingyan were the only ones present who looked calm. His strength must not be much worse. The beauty looked at him curiously, but she had no intention of attacking. She just smiled at the corner of her mouth, obviously very interested in him. Xiao Jian saw that she had no intention of attacking, so he did not step forward to provoke her. Anyway, anyone who came to take the Exorcist sword manual would definitely attack later. There is no rush. After showing his strength, no one present dared to underestimate Xiao Jian. If this Jinyiwei also participated in this battle, the situation would be even worse. They just wanted to take advantage of the revenge of Yu Kanghai of Qingcheng Sect. The people in the martial arts world spent a few days in a state of tension. Under this circumstance, more and more warriors came to Fuzhou. There was no sign of stopping. Some people couldn't sit still and shouted, "No, if we wait any longer, it will be our turn." "Yes, I heard that even the leader of Qingcheng Sect has come now. If we wait any longer, I don't know who will come. If we don't do it now, there will be no chance later. Let's go together. Let's go together." Someone took the lead, and more people followed behind. It was so lively. Those people shouted so loudly that Xiao Chen in the guest room naturally knew it. He followed silently. Although those who shouted were all acquired warriors, they would be cannon fodder if they went. But there were too many people. Even a mosquito leg is still meat, and a little internal force contribution from each person is not a small amount. A large group of people headed towards the Fuzhou escort agency, and the situation became uncontrollable. Xiao Chen followed behind the crowd and found that there were many people hanging behind the crowd like him. And the occasional leaked aura was obviously in the innate realm. Innate, could it be Yu Bukchun? Among the crowd, Yu Bukchun was undoubtedly the one who cared most about the sword manual of exorcism. He gave everything for the Washan sect, but unfortunately the result was quite tragic. Shaking his head and getting rid of these messy thoughts, Xiao Chen and others soon came to the Fuzhou escort agency. The head of the Qingcheng sect, Yu Kanghai, had led his disciples to surround the entire Fuzhou escort agency. How could he not know what the other warriors were planning? They were just people who wanted to fish in troubled waters. The real strong man has not appeared yet. Yu Kanghai exuded a cold murderous aura, and his innate cultivation was undoubtedly revealed. Standing at the gate of Fuzhou escort agency, he shouted loudly, "Lin Zhenin, come out and die." The voice echoed over the escort agency and could be heard for miles. In the Fuzhou escort agency, Lin Zhenin looked lonely. Beside him, Lin Pingji was full of anger and said with grief and indignation, "Father, let me out. I killed Yu Renyan. Everyone is responsible for their own actions." He was obviously a chivalrous man, but the result was a disaster for the Lin family. Did he do anything wrong? Between the Lin family and an individual, he chose to sacrifice himself without hesitation. But he didn't understand why things turned out like this. Lin Zhenin sighed and looked outside the mansion dimly. "This is not just your problem now. The Qingcheng Sword Sect wants our Lin family to mourn for their son. Even if you die, they will not let the Lin family go. They have been coveting the Lin family's sword manual of exorcism for a long time, and they will not let it go if they have the chance." The Lin family's ancestor Lin Yuantu was famous for his 72-way sword manual of exorcism. As a result, no one in the later generations could figure out the secret of the sword manual of exorcism. Otherwise, how could these people in the martial arts world dare to take advantage of the Lin family? The anger in Lin Pingji's eyes was almost overflowing. The whole person was murderous, but his acquired cultivation could not do anything. Lin Zhenin's face flashed with sadness, and he touched Lin Pingji's head. The ancestors of the Lin family have a saying that descendants are not allowed to look through the relics of their ancestors in the old house in Xiangyang Lane, otherwise there will be a disaster. I don't know the deep meaning of the ancestors, and I have never explored it, but you must remember this sentence. The Lin family will rely on you in the future. After saying that, he took Lin Pingji to the back hall. A huge stone brick was lifted up from the ground, and there was a small tunnel underneath. What is this? Lin Pingji looked at the tunnel in astonishment. He had been at home for so many years and didn't know there was such a tunnel at home. The tunnel leads directly to the old house. Don't come back after leaving. Go quickly. The farther you go, the better. Lin Zhenin kicked Lin Pingji down. Then he sealed the tunnel tightly. This tunnel was a retreat he had prepared a long time ago. I didn't expect it to be used after all. In the tunnel, Lin Pingji shouted loudly, but there was no movement. The huge stone slab above his head was also pressed tightly. He couldn't shake it at all. A hint of madness flashed in Lin Pingji's eyes. Ancestor, the Lin family is in great trouble. I hope the relics you left behind can help my Lin family solve the crisis. Anyway, whether the relics of the Lin family's ancestral house are in great trouble or not, Lin Pingji wants to take a gamble. Maybe he can solve the crisis of the Lin family this time. So Lin Pingji ran wildly in the tunnel without looking back. At this time, above the Fuzhou escort agency, Yu Kanghai's voice seemed more and more impatient, and Lin Zhennin's face became serious and he strode out. Chapter 11. Bang! The door of Fuzhou escort agency opened with a bang, and the shouting of the crowd outside was paused. Lin Zhennin walked out with his head held high. Master Yu, what are you doing with so many people coming to my Fuzhou escort agency with such fanfare? Lin Zhennin said with a smile. At this time, Lin Pingji had not gone far, so he had to delay for a while. At this time, he had already held the determination to die, and he couldn't let people laugh at him. Yu Kanghai stared at Lin Zhennin with gritted teeth. His son was killed, but now Lin Zhennin looked like he knew nothing. What does this mean? Did he come to disgust him on purpose? Yu Kanghai laughed in anger. Lin Zhennin, why are you pretending? Let Lin Pingji come out. Pingji has been away for a long time. If you have anything to say, it's the same if you talk to me. Lin Zhennin stared at Yu Kanghai sharply and said lightly. He didn't think Lin Pingji did anything wrong. The only mistake was that his fist was not as hard as Yu Kanghai's. Yu Kanghai's eyes were cold and murderous. He stared straight at Lin Zhennin. Fuzhou escort agency has long been closely watched by my Qingcheng sect. Where can he run to? It seems that you will not cry until you see the coffin. After that, Yu Kanghai's long sword came out of the sheath with a clang sound, and pointed the sword at Lin Zhennin. A white streak rushed out from the tip of the sword and went straight to Lin Zhennin's shoulder. Puff! A slight sound sounded, and one of Lin Zhennin's arms was cut off. Tell me, where is Lin Pingji? Yu Kanghai cut off Lin Zhennin's arm with a sword, and pointed the sword in his hand at his other arm. The meaning was very clear. If he didn't say it, he wouldn't even be able to save his other arm. Lin Zhennin's facial muscles twitched, and he endured the severe pain in his arm and gritted his teeth and said. Pingji left Fuzhou escort agency a long time ago, you don't need to look for him anymore. His strength didn't give him a chance to fight back in front of Yu Kanghai, so he simply didn't fight back. Just standing there straight, letting Yu Kanghai vent his anger, in order to delay time. He only hoped that his death could bring Lin Pingji's safety. Yu Kanghai's face twisted, and he waved the sword in his hand. I don't believe you won't say it. The transparent sword energy went to Lin Zhennin's other arm. Puff! Lin Zhennin, whose two arms were cut off, rolled his eyes, and finally couldn't resist the severe pain and fainted. Looking at Lin Zhennin who fell to the ground with blood flowing, Yu Kanghai snorted coldly and led people to rush into the escort agency. Losing two arms, no one treated him. Lin Zhennin had no chance of survival. As for the rest of the Lin family, he didn't plan to let them go. The most important thing now is to find the sword manual of exorcism. The people outside followed one after another. Xiao Jian looked at Lin Zhennin who was about to bleed to death and a complex look flashed in his eyes. This is the world of martial arts. Human life is like grass, killing a person is like killing a chicken. At the same time, he secretly vowed in his heart that he must stand at the top of this world, and his life can only be controlled by himself. Inside the Fuzhou escort agency, everyone searched through the boxes and cabinets, but still couldn't find the sword manual of exorcism. But they found a lot of gold, silver and jewelry. Don't grab it, I found it first. The gold is mine, just now. Give it to you. Heart-destroying palm. Bang, bang, bang. The inside quickly became a ball. Xiao Jian, standing on the roof, watched the golden fragments in front of him constantly merge into his body, and the corner of his mouth raised slightly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of heart-destroying palm, and automatically comprehending heart-destroying palm. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of flame fist, and automatically comprehending flame fist. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of flame fist, and martial arts experience +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of flame fist, and martial arts experience +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of internal force, and internal force +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of internal force, and internal force +1. Although what he got were some rubbish martial arts experience and internal force were good things. In terms of quantity, Xiao Jian's gains were not small. There is a tunnel here. Someone suddenly shouted, attracting everyone's attention. Yu Kanghai strode over, looked at the tunnel in front of him and punched it open. Boom! A layer of soil was lifted above the tunnel, revealing a long pit. Is this direction Xiangyang Lane? Yu Kanghai was overjoyed. The Qingcheng Sword Sect did a lot of work for the Exorcist Sword Manual. They studied the entire Fuzhou Escort agency and the Lin family. If they didn't find the Exorcist Sword Manual and Lin Pingji in the Escort agency, then they must have been taken away by Lin Pingji. Chase! Yu Kanghai waved his hand and led the people of the Qingcheng Sword Sect to chase Xiangyang Lane. A golden fragment floated towards Xiao Jian. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value +8. Xiao Jian shook his head. Yu Kanghai's innate is weak enough. When he was in the imperial prison, a fragment of those innate prisoners could provide him with at least 10 points of internal force. I don't know how much internal force the masters of the Grandmaster and Grandmaster realm provided him. If it were a land immortal, there would probably be thousands, right? Thinking about it, Xiao Jian swallowed hard. No, we have to stay calm. Now is not the time to think too much. Wait until our cultivation level is improved before we attack them. Xiao Jian shook his head fiercely and threw this tempting idea behind him. Following everyone, he came to Xiangyang Lane. At this time in Xiangyang Lane, Lin Pingji came to the ancestral house according to the instructions of his father Lin Zhenan. After a long search, he finally found the ancestral cassock on the beam. He opened the cassock with trembling hands and finally saw the sword manual of exorcism. The dense font came into view. Lin Pingji's pupils trembled wildly, and he quickly memorized all the formulas. So that's it. So that's it. Lin Pingji laughed loudly, his face full of unwillingness and madness. No wonder no Lin family member has been able to practice since our ancestor Lin Yuantu. It's actually like this. Lin Pingji cried and laughed. The whole person was crazy. The swordsmanship of the Lin family now is actually the little bit of fur left after the ancestors deleted and subtracted. Not only that, all the formulas and exquisite mysteries of the mental method were deleted. Bang! A huge knock on the door sounded, and Lin Pingji woke up immediately, trying to hide the cassock in a hurry. Yu Kanghai rushed in. At first glance, he saw the cassock in Lin Pingji's hand, as well as the dense mental formulas and martial arts moves on it. What a great Lin Zhenan, he actually hid the secret book in the old house. No wonder he didn't find it in Fuzhou Escort agency. Yu Kanghai laughed and said, Lin Pingji, the end of your Lin family has come. As soon as he finished speaking, his internal force suddenly started to work, and the ground under his feet was stepped on by cracks. His figure rushed towards the cassock. Lin Pingji was just a beginner in the postnatal cultivation, so he couldn't react at all, and watched Yu Kanghai getting closer and closer. Swish! Under the roof, a figure swooped down, and arrived first, and actually got the cassock in front of Yu Kanghai. Tian Bogong, the lone traveler in thousands of miles. Yu Kanghai recognized the person at a glance. His light skill of stepping on the sevenfold cloud is also well known. Otherwise, he couldn't have snatched the cassock under his nose. Yu Kanghai was furious and said angrily, Tian Bogong, give me back my cassock. He even sacrificed his son for the Lin family's secret book. How could he let others pick peaches? Tian Bogong laughed and said, first come, first served, this thing is in my hand, who of you can snatch it away? After saying that, he flashed and was about to leave. He rushed straight towards Xiao Jian who was standing on the roof. At this time, a golden fragment was merging into Xiao Jian's body. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of stepping on the clouds and automatically comprehending stepping on the clouds. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value +7. Xiao Jian's eyes turned, his figure flashed like a ghost, and he kicked Tian Bogong down with one foot. Ah! Tian Bogong, who flew over, had not reacted yet, and was kicked hard by Xiao Jian. Who dares to kick me? Tian Bogong was angry and shocked. His Qinggong is also well known in the Shantian realm. Unexpectedly, he was kicked before he could even see the figure clearly. Xiao Jian raised his lips slightly. If it was so easy for someone to take away the sword manual of exorcism, how could this group of people fight? At this moment, in another direction, Yu Bukchun flashed down and rushed towards the sword manual of exorcism in Tian Bogong's hand. How dare you! Tian Bogong roared and wanted to run again, but he was surrounded at this time. How could he escape? He was surrounded by people. Tian Bogong, this thing is not something you can covet, hand it over. Yu Bukchun said lightly. He shook the folding fan in his hand, showing the style of the head of Washan. He was also very interested in the sword manual of exorcism of the Lin family. Yuan Gong was famous far and wide. Even Chong Qingzi, who was known as the best swordsman west of the Three Gorges, was defeated by him. Although none of the Lin family had the strength of Yuan Gong later, it did not mean that his inheritance was not good. A trace of resentment flashed in Tian Bogong's eyes. But the current situation was not favorable to him, which could still be seen. Not to mention those acquired warriors who came, they were no threat to him. But one after another innate masters were still standing on the roof. I don't know who kicked just now. Thinking of this, Tian Bogong raised his hand and threw the cassock into the sky. He laughed and said, "You guys can grab it. I won't accompany you anymore." His figure flashed and he rushed towards Xiao Jian again. Xiao Jian shook his head and looked at Tian Bogong with disdain. Flower thieves are never welcome. Tian Bogong saw Xiao Jian's contemptuous eyes and was furious. A mere Jinyiwei dared to look at him with such eyes, looking for death. When he passed by Xiao Jian, a trace of cruelty appeared in his eyes. He vented all the anger he had received from Yu Bukchun and others, and slapped Xiao Jian with a fierce palm. Xiao Jian showed a sneer on his face. He used a powerful Vajra palm to attack Tian Bogong. The two palms faced each other. Bang! Xiao Jian pushed back Tian Bogong's palms like a dead tree and rotten wood. And he also crushed all the ribs on Tian Bogong's chest. Puff! Tian Bogong spat out a mouthful of blood, opened his mouth wide, and his eyes were full of shock and astonishment. At this time, he realized that the one who kicked him just now was the harmless-looking boy in front of him. Unfortunately, it was too late. He was beaten into rags by Xiao Jian and floated down, without any breath. Xiao Jian didn't even look at him. His eyes were fixed on the changes in the field. After a contest, the cassock had fallen into Yu Bukchun's hands. Yu Kanghai looked at Yu Bukchun with a sullen face. Master Yu, it's not fair for you to do this. Today's incident has nothing to do with you. The Lin family and Qingchang sword sect have a personal grudge, and it's not in line with the rules of the martial arts world for Washan sect to get involved. Yu Bukchun smiled faintly and said, "What's wrong with this?" After saying that, he turned his head and looked at Lin Pingji, who was slumped on the ground. He asked, "Lin Pingji, your Lin family is gone, are you willing to join Washan sect and worship me as your master?" Lin Pingji was stunned. A faint light flashed in his eyes, and he suppressed his hatred in his heart. Disciple is willing. Disciple Lin Pingji greets master. He kowtowed 3 times in the direction of Yu Bukchun. This set of movements was so smooth that Yu Kanghai didn't even react. Yu Kanghai pointed at Yu Bukchun, his fingers trembling. Too shameless. Washan sect had nothing to do with this matter, but now Yu Bukchun did this. Doesn't it mean that the Lin family is a vassal of Washan sect? Everyone around also looked disgusted. Yu Bukchun's operation was really eye-catching. Although everyone knew that his goal was the sword manual of exorcism, there was really nothing wrong with this in name. HMPH. Yu Bukchun waved his fan, put away his cassock and wanted to leave. Stop! Yu Kanghai roared and stabbed Yu Bukchun with the long sword in his hand. The sharp sword energy scattered the dust around to both sides. Yu Bukchun said coldly, Yu Kanghai, are not qualified to use a sword in front of my Washan sect." The sword in his hand was unsheathed, and the powerful sword energy rushed straight to Yu Kanghai. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of Xixia magic art and automatically comprehending Xixia magic art. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of Xixia magic art, martial arts experience +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of internal force +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Qingcheng heart method and automatically comprehending the Qingcheng heart method. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Qingcheng heart method, martial arts experience +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of internal force +8. The fight between the two allowed Xiao Jian to gain a batch of internal force and martial arts experience. Just when Xiao Jian was immersed in the system's prompt sound, a crisp metal bell sounded. It was like throwing a stone on a calm lake, breaking the calm in the field. Ah, fighting and killing is not good, why not sit down and talk about love? Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. What caught their eyes was a wonderful woman in gauze. Barefoot like jade, with a small bell tied to a red rope on the ankle, the bell made a crisp sound when walking. The charming woman, eyes like stars, crystal clear skin, and the gauze dress, was so beautiful. Hiss, what a beautiful woman. If I can have a kiss, I would like to reduce my life by 10 years. Oh my God, the fairy has come down to earth. I want to take this beauty home as my wife. Nonsense. This beauty is mine. Mine. The people in the rivers and lakes around them actually started fighting for no reason. One by one, they seemed to be fascinated by the woman in front of them. What a charming woman. Xiao Jian's eyes were clear, not affected by the woman at all. The faces of several innate masters on the roof were a little confused. There was a struggle in his eyes. As for the postnatal warriors below, none of them could escape the fate of being enchanted. Yu Buchan's eyes were cold. The sword manual of exorcism was already in hand, but the next thing was the most difficult. None of these innate masters were easy to deal with. Just when he wanted to slip away, a clear and melodious flute sound came. Everyone in the field felt clear-headed and instantly woke up from the enchanting sound. They stopped and retreated, with a cold sweat on their backs. They were actually controlled by someone without any preparation. Fortunately, the flute sound woke them up, otherwise they would not know how they died. It's you again, annoying guy. The witch Wanwan looked helpless. She had met her nemesis. She came out to train and actually met her old rival, the Saint Lady Master Feishuan of Sihang Jingzai. The two of them were fighting wherever they went. There was no peace. As the sound of the flute fell, Shi Feishuan's figure also appeared in everyone's sight. Elegant and pure, clear and ethereal, every move is like a fairy walking out of a painting. People dare not blaspheme. If Wanwan is a witch who fascinates everyone, then Shi Feishuan is a fairy who does not bother the world of mortals. Wanwan, you actually use the heavenly demon sound to harm people again. Shi Feishuan frowned slightly. She followed Wanwan all the way, but she didn't expect that Wanwan would harm people again without paying attention. Looking at the many people lying on the ground, Shi Feishuan went towards Wanwan. It was obvious that she was going to attack Wanwan. Yu Buchun breathed a sigh of relief. As long as they were not here to steal the sword manual of exorcism, it would be fine. No matter how they fight, it's none of his business. Wanwan's face was filled with murderous aura. This Shi Feishuan is like a dog skin plaster, you can't get rid of her. The two have fought so many times, neither of them can do anything to the other, but there is no way. Shi Feishuan is stubborn. She won't let her go. In a hurry, both of them used all their skills and fought on the roof. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the heavenly demon Dafa, and automatically comprehending the heavenly demon Dafa. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the heavenly demon Dafa, martial arts experience +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the internal force value, internal force +15. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the Sihang sword cannon, and automatically comprehending the Sihang sword cannon. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the internal force value, internal force +15. Xiao Jian raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and looked at this scene indifferently. The more they fight, the greater his gains. He looked at Yu Buchun below and the people on the roof again, frowning. Two women are fighting, and you are still standing here watching the show. Do you have any professional ethics? We are all here to grab the sword manual of exorcism, why are you so unprofessional? This won't do, Xiao Jian said to Yu Buchun, who was secretly memorizing the sword manual of exorcism. Master Yu, you have had the sword manual of exorcism for so long, are you secretly memorizing the secret formula? Xiao Jian words startled everyone, and their eyes turned from Wanwan and Shi Feishuan to Yu Buchun. Yu Buchun's heart sank, and he wished he could tear this Jinyiwei into pieces. He said in a cold tone, This sword manual of exorcism is a treasure passed down from the family of you disciple, you are meddling too much. Tisk. Xiao Jian laughed out loud. Yu Bukchun is really a hypocrite. Who doesn't know the purpose of accepting Lin Pingji? But there are really few people who laugh like Xiao Jian. They all care about the face of Washan Sect and Yu Bukchun. Xiao Jian didn't have this concern, and said loudly, the treasure belongs to those who are destined to get it. If you, Yu Bukchun, want to take it all for yourself, you have to see if everyone agrees or not. With Xiao Jian taking the lead, the rest of the things will be easy. They all shouted, Master Yu, we can't control you accepting disciples, but everyone has come all the way here, and you, Washan Sect, can't just take it all for yourself. Washan Sect is a famous and upright sect, it shouldn't be so ruthless, right? Let us make a copy of this sword manual of exorcism, Master Yu shouldn't refuse. Everyone said one by one, making Yu Bukchun embarrassed. If he really asked everyone to make a copy, then what would he do with the sword manual of exorcism? Everyone has something, but it can't be broken. Bu Jingyan tilted his head and looked at Xiao Jian with his eyes flashing. No matter what Xiao Jian's purpose is, his purpose is to gain experience. As for the sword manual of exorcism, it is not his goal. He also knows the name of Yu Bukchun, known as the gentleman's sword, so he must have some skills. He jumped in front of Yu Bukchun. Bu Jingyan of the Tianxia Association, please teach me. Bu Jingyan said lightly, and suddenly slapped him with a palm. Paiyan palm, turning clouds and rains. The internal force between the two palms was filled, and they flew up and down to attack Yu Bukchun. The palms were like a storm, and Yu Bukchun could only defend himself without any room to fight back. Yu Bukchun almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Bu Jingyan of the Tianxia Association is a young genius. Paiyan palm is one of the 3 unique skills of Shangba. Although he is much older than Bu Jingyan, the outcome of a real fight is still uncertain. He had to do his best to deal with it. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, wind force value +15. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Paiyan palm fragment, martial arts experience value +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Zixia magic art fragment, martial arts experience value +1. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragment, internal force value +13. A series of system prompts made Xiao Jian secretly happy. In the other direction, the cold and beautiful woman that Xiao Jian met in the inn stared at Xiao Jian. Obviously, she was also itching to learn from Xiao Jian's strength. At the same time, a group of 6 people on the street walked over unhurriedly. The leader had an extraordinary demeanor, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, making people feel like spring breeze. Hiss! It's Master Morong. Oh my god, the Lin family can actually let Master Morong go. Is the Lin family's martial arts so powerful? Nonsense, Master Morong is the top genius of the younger generation, with a unique martial arts, how could he be interested in the martial arts of the Lin family? People in the martial arts world had different opinions. Morong Fu smiled lightly, bowed to the warriors around him, and walked to the front of the battlefield. The cold and beautiful woman's eyes lit up when she saw Morong Fu. She was looking for the genius of the younger generation. And Morong Fu was also a master of swordsmanship, which naturally suited her heart. Xiao Jian was much younger than them, so it didn't matter if he won. The woman appeared in front of Morong Fu in a flash. She said lightly, Li Hanyi from Shuiyu City came to ask for swordsmanship, please teach me. After that, the long sword in her hand pointed directly at Morong Fu. Morong Fu was stunned. His purpose of coming here was not to compete with others. It was for the sword manual of exorcism. Yanziwu collected all kinds of secret books in the world. Except for some top secret books, there are many other secret books. He also came all the way here because he heard about the sword manual of exorcism of Yuantugong. Cousin, you have to be careful. This Miss Li is a genius in Shuiyu City. She has the best talent in swordsmanship. Morong Fu nodded. If someone challenges him, he will not back down. He drew the sword in his hand and rushed towards Li Hanyi in a flash. Both of them are masters of the younger generation, and they fought back and forth. The sword energy was radiating and extremely sharp. The powerful internal force even made the people in the surrounding rivers and lakes retreat dozens of meters. My God, Master Morong is really as powerful as the legend says. Master Morong hasn't used his full strength yet. At least he hasn't used his unique skill, Dozhuan Xingyi. Who is that beautiful lady on the opposite side? How come I haven't heard of her before? She is definitely not an ordinary person to fight Master Morong. You don't even know Shui Yucheng, you are really ignorant. The crowd's discussion did not affect Xiao Jian, who was watching the endless golden fragments merge into his body. There were also continuous system prompts in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Shishui sword technique fragment and automatically comprehending the Shishui sword technique. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Shishui sword technique fragment, martial arts experience plus 10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Morong sword technique fragment and automatically comprehending the Morong sword technique. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Morong sword technique fragment, martial arts experience plus 10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force value fragment, internal force value plus 17. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force value fragment, wind force value plus 15. A series of system prompts made Xiao Jian unable to contain the joy in his heart. This trip has been so rewarding. Li Hanyi and Morong Fu refused to give in to the other. The fight was very intense. Li Hanyi's starry eyes moved, and the long sword in his hand shone brightly with cold light. A powerful momentum rose into the sky. Moonset and flowers in the morning. The petals all over the sky were rushing towards her under the pull of internal force. It even caused a small tornado. The powerful and sharp sword energy is attached to the petals. This sword technique was something she had only recently learned on her own, and it was also the strongest move she could use at the moment. Hiss. There were gasps of air. Snort. Morong Fu snorted coldly. Just when the petals all over the sky fell, a mysterious aura emerged from his body. The internal force around his body formed a small vortex, and all attacks were absorbed by him. The stars have changed. The same move was actually returned by him. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the Xiao Chen fragment. Automatically comprehend Xiao Chen. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the star shift fragment. Automatically comprehend the star shift. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragments. The internal force value plus 15. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the internal force fragments. The internal force value plus 15. Xiao Jian raised his eyebrows. The stars change, the moon sets and the flowers bloom in the morning. Good. They are all excellent martial arts. Bu Jingyan had already suppressed Yu Bukchun and beat him, leaving him no room to fight back. HMPH. A gentleman's sword is nothing more than that. Killing you will dirty my hands. Bu Jingyan snorted coldly. With one palm strike, Yu Bukchun was violently thrown out. A trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Yu Buchan's face was red. It was embarrassing enough to lose, but it was even more unacceptable for him to be insulted like this. The murderous intention in his heart couldn't stop rising, but he suppressed it hard. He knew that he was no match for Bu Jingyan, so he could only place his hope on the evil fighting sword manual. Both hands tightly grasped the evil dispelling sword manual and never let go. He stood up and cupped his hands and said, Bu Shaoxi's strength is amazing, I admire you. Yu Bukchun said it in an understatement, but in fact his heart was almost bleeding. The dignified leader of the Washan sect was defeated by a young man. I feel very ashamed and annoyed inside, but I can lose my dignity as the leader. Bu Jingyan ignored Yu Bukchun. A mere defeated general is not worth a glance. Turning to look in Xiao Jian's direction. Last time, Xiao Jian and I just tested each other out, and neither side let go of the fight. But he knew that Xiao Jian's strength should never be underestimated. Xiao Jian seemed to feel something, and his eyes shifted to Bu Jingyan. Seeing Bu Jingyan's rising fighting spirit, he knew that this battle was inevitable. He is still thinking about subduing Bu Jingyan. Later, the two of them were tricked so miserably by Shangba, which was a good opportunity to win over people's hearts. But they have to be convinced by their own strength. How can you let him know what a true genius is without taking action? Xiao Jian looked solemn and said in his heart, "System, open the properties panel." Name, Xiao Jian. Age, 16. Kung Fu, Part 1 of Divine Elephant Prison Suppressing Power, 32 Giant Elephant Particles, small success in Zixia Divine Skill, small success in Qingcheng Heart Technique, small success in Heavenly Demon Dafa, small success in Sihang Sword Manual. Martial Skills, Perfect Vajra Palm, minor accomplishment in Function Legs, minor accomplishment in Cloud Dispelling Palm, minor accomplishment in Heart Destroying Palm, minor accomplishment in Fiery Fist, minor accomplishment in Stepping on Folding Clouds, minor accomplishment in Zishui Sword Technique, minor accomplishment in Morong Sword Technique. You flowers bloom in the evening and small successes come in the morning, small successes come in the passing of time. Martial Arts Experience Value, 4,634. Internal Force Value, 3,350. Realm, First Level of Innateness. Xiao Jian looked at the rising experience value and internal force value. The internal force value was all used to improve his cultivation, while the experience value was used for the Divine Elephant's prison suppressing power. More than 4,000 experience points were all used in the Divine Elephant's prison suppression power, and the muscles and bones in Xiao Jian's body instantly rumbling. The giant elephant particles awakened one after another, and the momentum of the whole body became more and more powerful. The air around him was stirred by the drastic changes within his body, and the void trembled, as if something terrifying was about to appear. It wasn't until all 78 giant elephant particles were awakened that all the experience points were consumed. At the same time, Xiao Jian's cultivation level also continued to improve. The second level of innateness. The third level of innateness. It didn't stop until the third level of Shantian. Everyone around him stopped and looked at the young man in front of him solemnly. Although they fought hard, the changes around them still couldn't escape their senses. Xiao Jian's rising momentum gave them an increasingly strong sense of oppression. Cannot be ignored. They couldn't help but stare at Xiao Jian. And the ancient and mysterious aura on his body made their hearts tremble. How is this going? Why do I feel so panicked? It seems like something unknown is about to happen. Is it this Jinyiwei? The aura on his body is so terrifying. Those weak people in the arena looked panicked. But Bu Jingyan's eyes became brighter and brighter. This is the opponent he wants. In Tianxiahui, there are too few people among the younger generation who can rival him. Going back and forth were Nifeng and Qin Shuang. If he hadn't had an opponent, he wouldn't have come all the way from Tianxiahui to practice. Li Hanyi's pretty face became solemn. She came out from Shuiyu City to ask for swordsmanship because she also wanted to compete with the young heroes in the world. It's just that there aren't many among the younger generation who can really consider her as an opponent. Xiao Jian in front of him is one of them. Wanwan and Shi Feishuan also stopped fighting and both looked in the direction of Xiao Jian. Shi Feishuan, this handsome young man is mine. Wanwan licked her lips and said provocatively. Shi Feishuan rolled her eyes at her and said, he is a royal guard of the Ming dynasty. If you want to drag him to the Tang dynasty, have you considered the feelings of the Ming dynasty? The two of them ran all the way from the Tang dynasty to the Ming dynasty to show their arrogance. They didn't know how many miles they had run. Wanwan raised her lips. At worst, I'll let him be my husband. You are shameless. Shi Feishuan's face turned red with anger. In terms of talking skills, Wanwan is much better than her. She dares to say anything, but what about her? The saint of Sihang Jingzai can say that she wants to compete with Wanwan for a man, right? He could only give Wanwan a hateful look. Continue to look in Xiao Jian's direction. But in the blink of an eye, Xiao Jian's cultivation level has achieved a huge breakthrough. Not only has his strength reached the third level of innate realm, but more importantly, the number of giant elephant particles in his body has reached 78. This is his biggest trump card now. Xiao Jian has a feeling that when the 78 giant elephant particles in his body explode with full force, his strength can even break through the innate limitations and reach the attack power of a grandmaster. Xiao Jian clenched his fists, feeling the infinite power in his body, and looked at Bu Jingyan and others. Everyone has already taken action, but I haven't taken action yet. I just want to take this opportunity to ask you a few words of advice from the talented people in the world. Morong Fu's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Jinyiwei actually has a young man with such amazing talent. If it cannot be removed as soon as possible, the resistance to his return to the country will be even greater in the future. Dang Ji said, since this little brother is so elegant, let me try your brilliant trick. After saying that, he ducked in front of Xiao Jian and wanted to take action. You misunderstood. Xiao Jian shook his head and said to Marong Fu. You have been fighting for a long time, how can I take advantage of you? What I mean is that I want to ask everyone for advice at the same time. Xiao Jian's disdainful look made Marong Fu furious. He, Marong Fu, is known as Nan Marong. Who among the younger generation dares to say that he is definitely better than him? Even Chao Feng is just as famous as him. And if Xiao Jian wanted to compete with so many of them by himself, he would undoubtedly slap them all in the face. Snort. Bu Jingyan snorted coldly, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and his figure quickly came towards Xiao Jian. I want to take action before everyone else does. Overwhelming. Palm prints all over the sky came towards Xiao Jian like a mountain. This palm is the strongest move he can use now. Even Ni Feng couldn't get away with this move. Xiao Jian smiled lightly. He can also do this row of cloud palms, and he can do more of them than Bu Jingyan can. If it weren't for the current limitations of his cultivation, he could use all the last moves. But since Bu Jingyan used it to overwhelm mountains and seas, it would be better to return the favor to him. Xiao Jian thrust out both palms, and the palm prints were exactly the same as Bu Jingyan's. Boom! The two palms faced each other, causing a shock wave. Bu Jingyan's mind was shaken, and the huge force from his palms directly flew him away. Even Marong Fu, who was watching the battle from the sidelines, fell back dozens of meters under the shock wave before he stopped. The two exchanged just one move, but it caused everyone to scream in surprise. Oh my god, this Jinyiwei is using the cloud-expelling palm of the Tianxiahui. How can the Imperial Court know the stunts that are known in the world? It's really exciting now. Bu Jingyan can't sneak around as well as the Jinyiwei people. Now the whole world will be embarrassed. Didn't you see? Master Marong, a spectator, was thrown away. If it were normal times, who would dare to say such things about Marong Fu and others? But now everyone's eyes are focused on Xiao Jian, and no one has time to care about this matter. Bu Jingyan's eyes showed rare anger. Who are you? Why do you have Pai Yunzhong? This row of cloud palms is a unique skill passed down to him by Shangba, and the relationship between the Imperial Court and Zhonghu sects is well known. Logically speaking, it is absolutely impossible for people in the Imperial Court to know how to Pai Yunzhong. Xiao Jian faintly uttered a few words. Jinyiwei Baihu, Xiao Jian. What Bu Jingyan was most concerned about was how the Paiyan palm could spread. Staring at Xiao Jian closely, he asked, you haven't told me how you can do Cloud Pavilion yet. Obviously he wasn't ready to let this matter go. It's just Paiyan palm, you can master it. What's the big deal? If you don't accept it, just come and fight. Xiao Jian's eyes were calm, and he stared at Bu Jingyan calmly, with his fingers hooked, as if he was provoking trouble. You. Bu Jingyan gritted his teeth and said nothing, clenching his fists tightly. Xiao Jian put his hands behind his back and turned to look at Marong Fu. Marong Fu, don't you call yourself the genius of the world? I'll give you another chance, let's do it together. Xiao Jian's arrogant look made several people angry. Even Shi Feishuan frowned at this time. Wanwanzhao laughed. What a domineering little brother, then Wanwan will have to weigh his strength. After saying this, a man jumped up and appeared next to Xiao Jian, forming a pincer attack with Bu Jingyan. Marong Fu also flashed to Wanwan's side, with an evil look on his face. He had never been so underestimated. And he is still a boy who is more than 10 years younger than him. Shi Feishuan sighed and came to Xiao Jian's side. Xiao Jian looked at him with a complicated expression. How could such a handsome young man be so evil? Xiao Jian was indeed powerful, and his aura shocked even her. But if we say 1 against 5, it is unlikely. But since Xiao Jian invited her, she would not refuse. If you join the battlefield, it will be easier for Xiao Jian to save others when he is in danger. Li Hanyi also flew over, forming a pincer attack with several people. Since young Master Xiao has extended your invitation so warmly, Hanyi would rather be respectful than obey. Xiao Jian is the most talented person she met since she came down from Shuiyu City. He is also the most mysterious person. The ancient and shocking aura just now still makes her unable to calm down for a long time. Xiao Jian turned his head and looked at the people around him. Li Hanyi, Murong Fu, Bu Jingyan, Wanwan, Shi Feishuan, these people are all the proud sons of the world today. The young generation is the top group of people in terms of both talent and strength. Several people joined forces to fight Xiao Jian alone, but they did not dare to be careless at all. They all saw the fight between Xiao Jian and Bu Jingyan just now. Although Xiao Jian is young, his strength is really unfathomable. If they really want to fight, they have to be careful. Everyone's eyes are focused on Xiao Jian and others. Even Yu Bukchun and Yu Kanghai stared at them closely. Boom! Bu Jingyan was the first to explode, and all his internal strength was concentrated in his palms. Overturning mountains and seas, one after another, palm prints were slapped towards Xiao Jian with amazing momentum. Obviously, he was unwilling to lose to his own moves. This move was 3 times more powerful than the previous one. Not bad, there is progress. Xiao Jian nodded lightly. As expected of Bu Jingyan, he has improved a lot in a short period of time. Xiao Jian's palms flew, and he used palm prints to fight hard. Bu Jingyan's palm shadows seemed to be targeted and were blasted away cleanly. Then he lifted Bu Jingyan out with a palm, and the speed was faster than last time. Hiss! Seeing Bu Jingyan defeated so cleanly, the people on the side looked solemn, and they all used their own unique skills. Xiao Jian put too much pressure on them, making them breathless. Moon sunset and flower morning. Li Hanyi waved a sword, driving the surrounding air to form a huge whirlwind. The sharp sword energy swept towards Xiao Jian frantically. Demon dance. Wanwan's figure spun around Xiao Jian. The beautiful dance made the people in the martial arts world outside the venue drool. Xiao Jian was not affected at all, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised, watching Wanwan's performance with interest. Seeing that Xiao Jian was not under any pressure, Shi Feishuan also wanted to test Xiao Jian's strength. The long sword in his hand slashed down. Sword controls the world. The sword energy was crisscrossed, and a huge sword shadow rushed straight towards Xiao Jian in the sky. This was the sword formula in the Siheng sword cannon, and it was also the strongest sword she could use at present. Murong Fu on the side did not dodge the attacks of the crowd this time. Instead, he rushed forward. The stars are turning. All the attacks 3 feet in front of him were absorbed by him. Adding his own internal force attack, he bombarded Xiao Jian in the way of the stars. Ha 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 ha, come on. Xiao Jian laughed loudly. Wanwan's heavenly demon dance had no effect on his mind at all. He could ignore it completely. As for the others, Xiao Jian's eyes turned, and his internal strength burst out. A cyclone bigger than Murong Fu appeared around him. The stars are changing. How can you change the stars? Murong Fu lost his mind and screamed on the spot. The surprised look was exactly the same as Bu Jingyan's just now. Boom boom. All the attacks were diverted and blasted out by Xiao Jian. Caught off guard, several people were blown away. The breath in his body was unstable, and his blood was churning faintly. The most unlucky one was Murong Fu. When he lost his mind, all the attacks against him hit him. He spit out a mouthful of old blood in midair, and his face turned pale instantly. Ah! In the void, the huge phantom of the giant elephant reappeared, howling to the sky. The visible shock wave blasted several people in the air fiercely. Puff, 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 everyone vomited blood and flew out on their backs. This time, they were seriously injured. After a fight, a large number of golden fragments fell everywhere. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Paiyan Palm, martial arts experience +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Tianmowu, martial arts experience +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Duzhuanshingi, martial arts experience +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of internal force +15. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of internal force +17. A series of system prompts made Xiao Jian raise his eyebrows slightly, and he was in a good mood. Xiao Jian, why do you know Duzhuanshingi? Murong Fu didn't care about his injured body and suddenly got up and questioned. The whole person was in a state of embarrassment, completely different from the image of a handsome young man before. Xiao Jian turned his head to look at the embarrassed Marong Fu, and sneered, "It's just Dozhuan Xingyi, you will learn it after watching it once." The faint words pierced Marong Fu's heart like a knife. Marong Fu was instantly crazy, his face twisted. Impossible. How can there be someone in this world who can learn it after watching it once? You lied. You stole the martial arts of my Marong family. It must be you who stole the martial arts of my Marong family. His Marong family is based on Dozhuan Xingyi. If this unique skill is passed on, the consequences will be unimaginable. Xiao Jian's eyes sank slightly, and he said indifferently, "Not everyone is as useless as you, with a heart higher than the sky and a life thinner than paper." Marong Fu's final ending can be said to be very miserable. After the dream of restoring the country was shattered, he actually went crazy. It is really sad that the great Nan Marong ended up like this. Bu Jingyan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stood up staggeringly. He looked at Xiao Jian with a puzzled expression. The relationship between Tianxiahui and the imperial court was well known in the martial arts world. Shangba would never teach Paiyanpom to someone in the imperial court. And now, Xiao Jian actually knows the Duzhuan Xingyi of the Marong family. Could it be that what Xiao Jian said was true? Apart from this explanation, he couldn't think of any other reason. But this was too outrageous. Wan spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Xiao Jian with a strange look in her eyes. She believed Xiao Jian's explanation 8 points in her heart. Even though this answer was so unbelievable. There are many strange people in the Zhonghu, and there are many martial arts. Those who are not affected by the heavenly demon dance are not ordinary people. There is only one person in the world who has such a strong talent. Li Hanyi's beautiful eyes flashed with surprise. Xiao Jian's performance was really beyond her expectations. It turned out that it was only his strength that made her look at him sideways. As a result, Xiao Jian now fought against many people alone and defeated her. She couldn't help but be shocked. But she didn't believe that Xiao Jian could learn their martial arts after just one look. There has never been such a genius in the world. Even Zhang Sanfang, a generation of real people known as the legend of martial arts, didn't have this ability. Just think that Xiao Jian was just teasing them. Yu Bukchun looked at Xiao Jian with some doubts. If Xiao Jian really could learn the martial arts they performed after just one look, then would he have secretly learned the Zixia magic of his Washan school? At this moment, he didn't dare to say a word. He held the pixie sword manual tightly in his hand. Xiao Jian glanced at the several geniuses present with a calm expression, and came to Yu Bukchun calmly. He stretched out his hand and said, "Master Yu, hand over the things." He didn't need the sword manual of exorcism. But if he could bring it back to Jinyiwei from these people, it would be a credit. In the future, Zhang Zhen and others would have to consider Xiao Jian's contribution. What are you going to do? This sword manual of exorcism belongs to the Lin family. Lin Pingji has already joined the Washan Sect. It is natural for our Washan Sect to have it. Yu Buchan's face was ugly. He had high hopes for the sword manual of exorcism. Although he had memorized it all, he was not happy to hand it over. Xiao Jian raised his eyelids. "Are you sure you don't want to hand it over?" Hand stretched out in the air, not retracting. Her eyes stared straight at Yu Bukchun. Yu Bukchun was filled with hatred. If Xiao Jian hadn't shown his powerful strength just now, he would be far from his opponent and would have to give Xiao Jian a sword. There should be a reason to hand it over. This thing is not under the control of the court. Yu Bukchun still gritted his teeth and said, "If he just gives it up like this, where will the face of Washan Sect be?" Didn't he see that the people in the martial arts world were staring at this place? If Xiao Jian asked for the sword manual of exorcism with just one sentence, how could Washan Sect still have any face in the martial arts world? Xiao Jian said sternly, "The whole world belongs to the king. The martial arts world is not a place outside the law." After that, he turned his head and looked at Yu Kanghai, saying, "Yu Kanghai of Qingcheng Sect slaughtered the entire Lin family, and his crime should be killed." Yu Kanghai's expression changed drastically. Bu Jingyan and others were not Xiao Jian's opponents. He couldn't even beat Yu Bukchun, let alone Xiao Jian. Hearing Xiao Jian say this, cold sweat broke out on his head. He screamed immediately, "The rules of the martial arts world, Lin Pingji of the Lin family killed my son, so it is only right for me to kill him. Xiao Jian's expression was cold, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. The rules of the martial arts world don't harm your wife and children. If you have a grudge against the Lin family, go and seek revenge yourself. But you didn't even spare the many escorts of the Lin family, and even the cook, killing innocent people. It's a heinous crime. You should be executed. These two short sentences are powerful. If it was just a simple search for him, Xiao Jian would not intervene, but Yu Kanghai was too ruthless. Xiao Jian didn't want to argue with Yu Kanghai, and punched him. Ah! The void trembled, and the huge dragon elephant figure emerged. The ancient and terrifying pressure made everyone present shudder. The giant elephant roared at Yu Kanghai, and the terrifying and ancient aura suppressed Yu Kanghai on the spot. It was a luxury to even move. I could only look at Xiao Jian in horror, with a hint of pleading in my eyes. Die! Xiao Jian threw this punch with hatred. Just for those innocent people who died tragically. Maybe it was also to make himself feel at ease. Seeing so many people die on the spot, he was not happy after all. Under the huge dragon elephant phantom, Yu Kanghai didn't even have a chance to resist, and was directly crushed into powder. In the field, there was no trace of Yu Kanghai's existence. On the side, Bu Jingyan and others felt this breath again, and their hearts felt like being pressed by a huge rock. It was hard to breathe. Xiao Jian turned his head and looked at Yu Bukchun again, his eyes cold and ruthless. It was obvious that if Yu Bukchun didn't hand it over, he would never show mercy. Yu Buchan's mouth twitched fiercely, and he obediently presented the cassock in his hand with both hands. After receiving the secret book, Xiao Jian looked at everyone with a warning look. Everyone should be more restrained when walking in the world. Don't forget that this world belongs to the Ming dynasty, not yours. HMPH. The cold and ruthless snort frightened the people around him. Xiao Jian jumped onto the roof and disappeared from everyone's sight. As soon as Xiao Jian left, the heavy weight on everyone's heart finally fell. They all started to discuss. The Jinyiwei has made a big splash this time. 100 households have suppressed so many geniuses that they can't even lift their heads. Incredible. This matter is not over yet. Tianxiahui and Washan Sect will not let it go. I don't know whether Tianxiahui will let it go, but Washan Sect is not sure. Someone looked at Yu Bukchun on the side and whispered. Yu Buchan's strength is far inferior to Xiao Jian. If he really dares to retaliate, he will probably have to sacrifice himself. Yu Buchan's face was ashen. This matter will sooner or later be known to the world. Washan Sect's face was rubbed on the ground again and again by Xiao Jian. He was the head of Washan Sect, but he couldn't even beat Bu Jingyan, a rising star, and was forced by Xiao Jian to hand over the sword manual of exorcism. If he didn't take revenge, he would never be able to raise his head in this life. Looking at the injured Bu Jingyan, Yu Bukchun hated him secretly. But he couldn't do anything to him. He could only leave Xiangyang Lane with Lin Pingji. Bu Jingyan looked at the direction where Xiao Jian left, clenched his fists, turned around and left. Wanwan looked at Shi Feishuan and smiled. I'm going to find my young husband, do you want to follow me? The saint of Sihang Jingzai shouldn't follow me. Otherwise, if it gets out that the saint is chasing a man, it won't be a good reputation. Shi Feishuan looked indifferent, and took the lead to follow Xiao Jian. Wanwan's face changed. Hurry up and chase after him. Hey, what are you doing? Are you really tempted? The voices of the two people were getting farther and farther away, and everyone looked at each other. Murong Fu coughed up a mouthful of blood and looked at the direction where Xiao Jian left with a sinister look. He had never suffered such a big loss before. Today, he was seriously injured by a teenager who was more than 10 years younger than him, and he didn't win even with the combined efforts of several people. It was a great shame. Wait for me, I won't let you go. Murong Fu whispered. He left this place of trouble with Wang Yuyan and his retainers who were worried about him. Li Hanyi stood there, thought about it, and actually went in the direction where Xiao Jian left. Anyway, she came to ask for the sword from her peers, and since she met such a young and powerful master, how could she let him go easily? With the departure of Xiao Jian and others, the matter spread throughout the Ming dynasty at an alarming speed. Jinyiwei, a genius boy of 16 or 17 years old, actually suppressed several young geniuses in the martial arts world with his own strength. Suddenly, a wave of waves was set off in the martial arts world. Tianxiahui, Shangxin Hall. In the hall, a man in a black and gold python robe sat high. The man was tall and strong, with no joy or sadness on his face. He had a domineering look between his eyebrows and exuded a terrifying aura. This man was Shangba, the leader of Tianxiahui. Bu Jingyan stood in front of the hall, staring straight at Shangba, with an unruly look. Shangba looked unhappy and asked lightly, "You said that the kid from Jinyiwei just watched you perform Paiyan Palm once, and then defeated you." Then he looked at Nifeng on the side and said, "Fenger, I remember you said the same thing last time. A small Jinyiwei is so strange that the two hall masters of Tianxiahui have suffered a loss." Shangba's eyebrows were filled with murderous aura. His two disciples are the sons of destiny in the fate of the clay Buddha. After spending a lot of effort to cultivate for more than 10 years, they were defeated by a Jinyiwei centurion one after another. Isn't this a joke? If the clay Buddha was not there, Shangba would have wanted to ask him for another fortune. When Cao Cao on the side laughed, "Boss, where in the world can there be such a person who can learn the other party's martial arts at a glance? It is probably just a trick, just imitated. The Dozhuan Xingyi of the Morong family is also known to be able to use the other's method to return the body, but it is not clear that the Morong family is any good." Shangba nodded and his expression eased a lot. Everyone knows how many names in the world are exaggerated. But there are only a few people who can truly stand at the top of the world. Shangba looked at Fengyan and the other two and scolded them, "You two should stay in seclusion in Tianxiahui for a while. You are not allowed to leave until you become a master. Xuanzhi, since the matter of Wushuang City is still being prepared, you should go to Junding Prefecture first. It's quite lively there recently. Don't bring down the reputation of our Tianxiahui again." Among the three disciples, Tianshuang Hall Master is the oldest and has the highest cultivation. Now he has reached the peak of innateness. But in terms of talent, he is still a long way behind Fengyan and the other two. After Fengyan and the other two bowed and left, Qin Shuang also took the order and rushed to Junding Prefecture. Sun and Moon Sect, Black Wood Cliff. 40 miles north of Pingdingzhou, there are towering mountains, and tall trees cover dozens of miles in radius. And Black Wood Cliff is hidden in the mountains. No one except the core members of the sect can find the location of Black Wood Cliff. At this time, many elders sat on both sides of the treasure hall. The throne of the leader in the middle was empty. Many elders were arguing. It looked like a noisy market. Suddenly, a square-faced middle-aged man who was closest to the throne slammed the table hard. "Enough. What are you arguing about?" Everyone stopped immediately, and the hall was silent. The middle-aged man said angrily, "When the leader is not here, is this what you do?" Shang Wenshan was furious. Looking at the many elders in front of him, he was furious. These people occupied the position of elders one by one, but they were too selfish. Now that the court has a Jinyiwei with unlimited potential, they actually want to let their disciples to brush up their reputation. Don't even see if they have the strength. As soon as Shang Wenshan opened his mouth, everyone was silent. When the leader was not here, Shang Wenshan, the left envoy of light, was the one with the highest status. Shang Wenshan snorted coldly. Even the hall master of the Tianxia Association and others are not the opponents of the Jinyiwei. Do you still expect your disciples to have such strength? According to the news from the spies in the sect, although the realm of the Jinyiwei Baihu is not at the peak of the innate, his strength is not much inferior to that of the innate peak. Without the strength of the innate peak, going there is also seeking death. Not to mention getting rid of the Jinyiwei. I wonder what the left envoy has planned. An elder below asked boldly. The others also wanted to see how Shang Wenshan would deal with it, and they all stared at him. Shang Wenshan rubbed his forehead, his eyes swept over the elders, and suddenly stopped at the last one. "Ku Yang, this matter is left to you. Remember, don't do it if you are not sure." Shang Wenshan was still a little worried that Ku Yang's strength was not enough to deal with Xiao Jian, so he reminded him again. The people around him took a breath of cold air. They didn't expect Shang Wenshan to let Ku Yang go in person. That's a veteran Shantian peak master. He has been in this realm for many years. Maybe he will be able to break through the Grandmaster realm someday. Ku Yang, who was sitting at the end of the seat, was stunned and quickly took over the matter. Yiwa Palace. Yao Yu and Liangxing were sitting in a small pavilion in Yiwa Palace, lazily listening to the servants reporting the news in the martial arts world. A young man was accompanying them. The man had sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, and his facial features were clearly defined and deep, like a Greek sculpture. When he heard that Xiao Jian fought against all the Tianzhou alone in Fuzhou, a strong fighting spirit bloomed in his eyes. Yao Yu glanced at the man lightly and chuckled. "Wook, do you want to go down the mountain?" The tone was cold and frightening. Hua Wook's expression became serious and he said carefully, "This man is so young, but he has already reached the level of Shantian cultivation. It is rare in the world. Wook wants to have a good fight with him." Yao Yu raised the corner of his mouth, and the expression on his face became even colder. In Yiwa Palace, she hated it most when others had their own ideas. What's more, this person is Hua Wook. Liangxing next to him had a flash of anxiety in his eyes. His sister had always been moody, and she looked like she was so angry that Yao Yu was offended. If she is angry, even her biological sister will not give her any face. Liangxing regarded Hua Wook as his own child, and naturally did not want to see him punished by his sister. Smiling, he explained to Yao Yu, "This child Wook may have such a big reaction when he heard Jinyiwei. The imperial court has been looking for trouble for us, why not let Wuke go outside to practice a little bit and cause some trouble for the Jinyiwei? They have already taught them what they need to teach, but experience cannot be taught. Hua Wook had to go out into the world to experience it." Yao Yu gave Liangxing a cold look and didn't stop until her scalp was numb. He turned to Hua Wook and said, "In that case, then go out for a walk and evaluate the quality of this Jinyiwei." Yao Yu is not worried about Hua Wook's safety. After all, Hua Wook today is also in the innate realm, and is considered to be at the top level among the younger generation in the world. Xiao Jian, who returned to Jinling, immediately returned to the small courtyard he rented. Ling was practicing the divine elephant's prison suppressing power taught by him in the yard. There was a faint aura being sucked into the body, and he was obviously on the right track. The sound of Xiao Jian's return startled Ling and his eyes opened with a swish sound. "Elder brother!" Ling exclaimed and jumped up, hanging on Xiao Jian's body. His head rubbed against Xiao Jian's shoulder. Xiao Jian smiled and said, "Brother is not here, have you practiced well?" Xiao Jian didn't expect Ling to reach a high level of strength. But it's best to protect yourself. He doesn't know how long he can stay in Jinyiwei, and he will offend more and more people in the future. It would be very troublesome if Ling didn't have the ability to protect himself. "Brother, I have cultivated 2 giant elephant particles. I will be able to protect my brother in the future," Ling said proudly. The 2 giant elephant particles are only stronger than the acquired second level. Ling was only 10 years old, and it was rare to see a 10-year-old with the second level of acquired childhood. "Okay, keep up the good work, and my brother will be counting on your protection from now on." Xiao Jian's face was filled with a smile. After joking with Ling Xiao Jian came to Fuxi Yamen in Beijun. In Beijun Fuxi, Xiao Jian entered the gate holding an identity token. "Hello, Mr. Xiao. Mr. Xiao is back so soon. Your Excellency is well known in the world, but he has made us proud." The Jinyi guards guarding the gate greeted Xiao Jian one by one, with respect in their eyes. When the news about Xiao Jian single-handedly suppressing several Zhonghu geniuses reached the Jinyiwei, it made Qinhu Zhongzhen happy for several days. He also didn't expect that Xiao Jian could be so powerful, defeating many by one, and overwhelming many young prodigies unable to lift their heads. When the news came, he couldn't believe it. After all, even at Xiao Jian's age, it was impossible for him to fight against so many geniuses by himself. Now that he has such a genius under his command, how can he not be happy? Zhang Zhen praised Xiao Jian greatly, and the people below naturally knew what to do. Naturally, he was extremely enthusiastic about Xiao Jian. After Xiao Jian replied politely, he came to the door of Qinhu Zhongzhen's central hall without any hindrance. "Xiao Jian of Baihu, please see Mr. Zhang of Qinhu." Xiao Jian bowed his hands toward the central hall. Soon, Zhang Zhen's laughter could be heard from inside. "Ha ha ha ha, Xiao Jian is back, no need to be polite, just come in." Xiao Jian walked in directly after hearing this. When he first came in with Li Feng, the two of them waited for a long time before they saw him reply. Xiao Jian came to the room and found that there was someone sitting next to Qinhu Zhongzhen. Xiao Jian cupped his hands and said, I have met Mr. Qinhu. At the same time, he also bowed his hands to the man next to him. Those who can sit on equal terms with Qinhu in Qianyu's room are definitely not ordinary people. At least he has to be a master. Zhongzhen smiled and patted Xiao Jian on the shoulder, and introduced to Xiao Jian, this is the governor above, Ji Tai. Xiao Jian hurriedly raised his hands and said, I've met Lord Junfu Envoy. Ji Tai waved his hand, and Zhongzhen happily patted Xiao Jian's shoulder. Xiao Jian, you've made Jinyiwei look bad this time. Most people in the world don't take the imperial court seriously, they are used to lawlessness. You have done a great job in killing them with great vigor. Xiao Jian cupped his hands and said, it's just a matter of duty. He reached into his clothes and took out the evil-proofing sword manual and handed it to Zhongzhen. This is the Lin family's sword manual for warding off evil. Please hand it over to your lord. Zhongzhen stretched out his hand to take it, but without looking at it, he smiled and said, let me tell you, you kid won't secretly keep the secret book. Ji Tai smiled awkwardly. Just now he told Zhongzhen that Xiao Jian would leave behind the evil sword manual. I didn't expect to be slapped in the face so quickly. After all, Yuan Tu Gong's secret book is also a treasure. Generally, when Jinyiwei people go out to perform tasks, they don't bring some private goods with them. Xiao Jian's eyes jumped when he heard Zhongzhen's words. Sword manual to ward off evil. Whoever wants it wants it. He want it anyway. Zhongzhen looked at Xiao Jian with relief, and suddenly looked embarrassed. After hesitating for a while, he finally said, originally, you just came back, so I shouldn't have sent you out. It's just that there are really no people in the Jinyiwei recently, and there is something that needs you to go. Come to think of it, this matter is really related to you. Speaking of this, Zhongzhen couldn't help but twitch his lips. If it was another centurion, he would just give the order directly. However, Xiao Jian's strength and potential are here, maybe he will become 1,000 households someday. Naturally, we have to build a good relationship in advance. Xiao Jian arched his hands. If you have anything, just tell me. He gained a lot from going out, and now he is eager to have a task to do. This can also quickly improve his cultivation. Zhongzhen nodded and continued. Do you still remember monk Xu Jing from the imperial prison? Last time the imperial prison was robbed by Nifeng of the Tianxiahui, monk Xu Jing also took the opportunity to escape. According to the news from the Jinyiwei spies, he is now in Jinling Prefecture, and his goal is to inherit the Shaolin Lay Master. That master is the master of Shaolin's unique skill Shenzhou Sutra, and his cultivation is rarely matched among masters. When Xiao Jian heard about Shenzhou Sutra, his heart skipped a beat. This Shenzhou Sutra is known as the second Shaolin miracle after Yijin Sutra. The young master of Zhu Shenzhuang, Yu Tanji, got the Shenzhou Sutra and made great progress in strength. He was even able to fight against Qiao Feng. It is enough to show its magical power. Zhongzhen continued, somehow this news leaked out, so some Shantian masters in the world are frantically heading towards Jinling Prefecture. This time, not only some young Tianzhao will go, even the old Shantian will be quite tempted. Especially the Shaolin temples in various places, they must want to take it into their pockets. Shaolin Temple has a long history, and there are Shaolin temples everywhere in the world. Even outside the Ming dynasty, there are Shaolin temples in the Tang dynasty and other countries. Xiao Jian nodded. Don't worry, sir, I will do my best to bring back the Shenzhou Sutra. Zhongzhen looked at Xiao Jian with a look of relief. Xiao Jian is a centurion under his command, and he can be regarded as a confidant. It is not easy to find such a capable subordinate. Zhongzhen smiled and said, when you come back, your subordinates will almost be here, and they will all be equipped for you at that time. Thank you, sir. Xiao Jian cupped his hands. Now he is still a commander without troops. This is rare in Jinyiwei. It's true that people in the martial arts world have been restless recently, and there is a shortage of manpower everywhere. After Xiao Jian left, Zhongzhen immediately bowed to the master beside him and said, Sir, what do you think of Xiao Jian? Ji Tai looked at Zhongzhen with a slightly complacent look, raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and said, Then do you think the news from the spy is true or false? Is it exaggerated? A congenital can actually learn the opponent's martial arts at a glance, don't you think it's strange? At this point, a trace of greed flashed in his eyes. He never believed that someone could have such a talent. If he guessed correctly, this centurion had an extremely powerful and special martial arts. He could imitate the opponent's martial arts. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain how Xiao Jian knew the Pian palm of the Tianxiahui. He didn't reveal any news for more than 10 years, and was captured by Jinyiwei and taken to the mine. The gap between before and after is too big. The only explanation is that he suddenly got a chance. And this courtesy is extraordinary. There are many such exceptions in the martial arts world. Zhang Zhen's face changed slightly. What does the pacification envoy mean? They have already investigated Xiao Jian's life experience clearly, and there is no problem at all. But looking at the pacification envoy's appearance, could it be that he is dissatisfied with Xiao Jian? Jitai put away the expression on his face and said to Zhang Zhen earnestly, "You are still young. Jinyiwei is related to the safety of the Ming dynasty. You can't be careless. The more talented Xiao Jian is, the more careful you should be in examining him. Otherwise, if he is in a high position one day and finds that his identity is problematic, it will be a disaster for both Jinyiwei and the Ming dynasty." Zhang Zhen opened his mouth and looked at Jitai in front of him in disbelief. What could be wrong with Xiao Jian's identity? He has checked his ancestors for 18 generations, and he is still not at ease. He completely disagreed with Jitai's words. But Jitai was his immediate superior, and he acted selflessly. For a moment, Zhang Zhen really didn't know how to explain. Seeing Zhang Zhen in a dilemma, Jitai waved his hand. "Okay, I'll follow up on this matter, don't worry about it." After saying that, he stood up and walked out. Zhang Zhen stretched out his hand, but didn't know what to say. He could only watch Jitai walk out of the main hall gate. Xiao Jian returned to the courtyard, but unexpectedly saw Li Hanyi playing with Ling Er. "Why are you here?" Xiao Jian's murderous intent rose instantly. Ling Er is his only relative in this world. No matter who wants to hurt her, Xiao Jian will definitely fight to the death with him. Even if this person is the future sword fairy Li Hanyi. "Brother, you're back. This sister is a friend I just met." Ling Er rushed to Xiao Jian with a happy face. Li Hanyi looked at this scene in astonishment. When she passed by, she sensed that Ling Er had a special physique, which was very suitable for practicing the skills of Shuiyu City, so she came in to take a look. "I didn't expect Ling Er to be Xiao Jian's sister." Xiao Jian protected Ling Er behind him, his eyes red, and said coldly, "Li Hanyi, you shouldn't come to my house." Originally, he had a good impression of Li Hanyi. But Xiao Ling was his Achilles heel, and he would never allow anyone to hurt her. Even if there was a 1 in 10,000 chance, he would nip it in the bud. Xiao Jian's face burst with murderous intent, and the 78 giant elephant particles in his body instantly rioted. A terrifying aura instantly enveloped the entire courtyard. A huge giant elephant phantom slowly emerged in the void. Ah! The giant elephant stepped, and the air seemed to solidify. The terrible murderous aura made Li Hanyi's pretty face change slightly. Xiao Jian used this trick when he was in Fuzhou. At that time, several people were facing it together, and the feeling was not so clear. It wasn't until now that I faced Xiao Jian alone that I realized how powerless he was. He hurriedly said, "Xiao Jian, don't get me wrong, I'm not." Xiao Jian interrupted, "There is no misunderstanding. I didn't expect you to come to my house to die, so don't blame me." He couldn't imagine if his sister was killed because someone from the Zhonghu came to seek revenge on him. How should he face it? Just when the giant elephant above his head was about to rush out, Ling Er realized what he was doing, hugged Xiao Jian and shouted, "Brother! Sister is not here to harm us. My sister is very kind to me and even teaches me martial arts." When Xiao Jian heard this, the evil spirit between his brows gradually dissipated, and the shadow of the giant elephant above his head also disappeared. The terrifying aura that shrouded the small courtyard disappeared, and the small courtyard returned to calm. "Call." Li Hanyi let out a long breath and felt that the clothes on his back were wet with sweat. At that moment she really felt suffocated. This feeling can only be felt when facing the existence of the Grandmaster realm. Did he break through to the master level? Li Hanyi shook his head. She could feel it when Xiao Jian took action. Xiao Jian was still in the innate realm. He didn't even break through to the 5th level of innateness. But the momentum was even stronger than that of the Grandmaster. Xiao Jian's expression was still cold, and he stared straight at Li Hanyi and asked, "Why did you come to my house?" When he was in Fuzhou, he was not polite to Li Hanyi. If you are a narrow-minded person, it is normal to hold grudges. But don't blame him for being rude if you come to attack his sister. Li Hanyi smiled bitterly and said, "Xiao Jian, it was an accident that I came here. I was just passing by outside and sensed that your sister's physique might be the legendary natural sword body, so I wanted to bring her back to Shuiyu City." The expression on Xiao Jian's face relaxed a little. Ling did have some talent in cultivation, but he just thought it was due to the divine elephant's prison suppressing power. Unexpectedly, there are physical reasons. But Xiao Jian would not just listen to her words. "Is there any way you can prove that Ling has an innate sword body?" Xiao Jian continued to ask. Li Hanyi pointed to the long sword in Ling's hand and said, "Isn't it enough proof that you can learn Jisui swordsmanship in just 1 hour?" Xiao Jian saw the Tingyu sword in Ling's hand, which was Li Hanyi's sword. Only then did he let down his guard a little. If a warrior is not very trusting, it is impossible for others to use their weapons. Ling happily took Xiao Jian's arm to show off. "Brother, I like the Shisui sword technique that this sister taught me just now." As he spoke, he played with the long sword in his hand, with a smile on his face. "Clearly loves this sword." A smile broke out on Li Hanyi's face. She finally understood that the Jinyiwei, who was very evil and domineering outside, became a different person in front of Ling. "There is no momentum at all. I didn't expect that Jinyiwei Baihu, who is so powerful in Fuzhou, is actually a doting girl." Xiao Jian's look of wanting to kill someone just now was really scary. Xiao Jian twitched the corner of his mouth and returned the Tingyu sword in Ling's hand to Li Hanyi. He said with a serious expression, "Leave here and pretend that what just happened never happened. I don't want anyone to know about my sister and the location of this courtyard, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. He is now a royal guard of the imperial court, and he doesn't know how many people he will offend in the future. Li Hanyi is here today, I don't know who it will be next time. If the news about the small courtyard is leaked, Ling's safety cannot be guaranteed." Ling looked pitifully at the Tingyu sword that was taken away. But they were very obedient and did not quarrel. He just stood silently behind Xiao Jian and looked at Ting Yujian secretly. Naturally, this scene was not hidden from Li Hanyi, who was opposite him. He reached out and handed the sword in his hand to Ling and smiled. "Ling, just play a little longer if you like, and ignore your brother." After speaking, he glanced at Xiao Jian provocatively. Xiao Jian looked at the excited Ling. A flash of endearment flashed across his face, and did not stop him. Ling also happily picked up the Tingyu sword and started playing in the yard. The little face was full of joy. Xiao Jian looked at Ling's smile with a complicated expression. He has been busy upgrading and practicing, and has little concern for Ling. But in this world where people eat people, he has to work hard to improve his strength. Xiao Jian didn't want their lives to be threatened one day and regret it later. Li Hanyi looked at Ling's cheerful figure, with a smile on his lips, and said to Xiao Jian calmly, "Your sister is really suitable for our Shuiyu city's cultivation techniques. Ask her to come with me. You can rest assured that I will take care of you. What's more, if you keep her around, it will be more dangerous for her. I'm here today. If your enemy comes one day, think about the consequences." Xiao Jian remained silent. Daming Jinyiwei is not a charity organization, and he doesn't know how long he can stay. If something really happened one day, Jinyiwei would definitely not let him go, nor would he let his sister go. But Shuiyu City is located in the north of Li Dynasty, and the distance is really too far. He is worried. Li Hanyi could see Xiao Jian's worry and said, "The more enemies you make in the Ming Dynasty, the more dangerous Ling will be. Although the North Li Dynasty is far away, it is also safer." Now that the conversation has come to this point, I believe Xiao Jian also knows what choice to make. Xiao Jian looked complicated. Reason told him that Li Hanyi was right. If he wants to become stronger quickly, he will definitely offend more and more people and become stronger and stronger. Ling's safety cannot be guaranteed. After hesitating for a long time, Xiao Jian called to Ling, who was playing beside him, Ling come here and tell you something. Ling ran to the two of them obediently. He asked in a crisp voice, brother, what's going on? Xiao Jian wiped off the sweat on Ling head and said, are you willing to become a disciple of this young lady? Will you learn swordsmanship from her in the future? Li Hanyi opened his mouth slightly and looked at Xiao Jian blankly. Unexpectedly, Xiao Jian would make such a decision without her consent. Ling eyes lit up, and she asked with a smile, is it really possible? Brother. She was so bored staying in the courtyard, waiting for her brother to come home all day. Or she would practice by herself. She was very happy to have a little sister to play with her today and teach her swordsmanship. Xiao Jian nodded and said, of course it's true. Ling immediately knelt on both knees and kowtowed to Li Hanyi 3 times respectfully. She called out coquettishly, Master. Li Hanyi was happy and a little flustered. She had just started to travel around the world, how could she become a master? Li Hanyi accepted Ling with surprise and joy, and Xiao Jian looked at Xiao Ling with some reluctance. Take Ling to Bili when you go back. Daming will definitely become a place of right and wrong in the world of martial arts in the future, you should leave as soon as possible. Whether it was Tianxiahui or Sun Moon Sect, they were his goals for gaining experience. The Ming dynasty is also an exception, and there will definitely be turbulent waves in the future. Ling burst into tears when she heard that her brother wanted her to follow her master to Bili. Brother, don't you want Ling anymore? I don't want to go to Bili. I want to be with my brother. Ling eyes were red. Growing up, except for Xiao Jian's trip to Fuzhou, the two of them had never been separated. Not to mention it's so far north. The most difficult time for both of them was over, and she didn't want to be separated from her brother again. Xiao Jian comforted her so much that she calmed down. He comforted her softly. Ling be obedient. When you go to Bili to learn swordsmanship, I will come to see you. You also need to listen to Master. Didn't you say you want to protect your brother? Ling then pouted and nodded. Xiao Jian thought for a long time and then said to Li Hanyi beside him, you should go back to Bili now. You must treat Ling well. Speaking of this, Xiao Jian's eyes suddenly surged with murderous intent. Staring at Li Hanyi, he said, remember it, I don't want anything to happen to Ling If not, I will make sure no chickens or dogs are left in Shuiyu City. Even your master Li Changsheng can't stop me, I said so. At this time, Xiao Jian's eyes were red and murderous. It even exuded that ancient and mysterious aura that made Li Hanyi shiver all over. Li Hanyi was horrified. Her master Li Changsheng is mysterious and cannot be known to ordinary people. And she has only been a disciple for a few years. Logically speaking, it is impossible for Xiao Jian to know about this matter. Even the Jinyiwei of the Ming dynasty couldn't know. She traveled around the world and never reported her family status. How did Xiao Jian know? The image of Xiao Jian in front of Li Hanyi seemed even more mysterious in Li Hanyi's mind. Xiao Jian said this for the sake of Ling safety. No matter how much he believed in Li Hanyi's character, he still had to keep some trump cards. Speaking of Li Changsheng's existence was just one of the things that shocked her. After Li Hanyi repeatedly promised to take good care of Ling he left with Ling in tears. For a moment, Xiao Jian felt empty in his heart. It took a long time to adjust my mentality. Ling don't worry, I will definitely come to see you as soon as possible. Xiao Jian secretly swore in his heart. Without strength, there is no security in this world. For Ling safety, a brief separation is not unacceptable. Moreover, Shui Yucheng's strength is enough to ensure her safety. After thinking about it again and again, Xiao Jian confirmed that Ling would not be in danger in Bili. After thinking about it again and again, Xiao Jian confirmed that Ling would not be in danger in Bili. Only then did he agree to Li Hanyi taking the person away. After the two people left, Xiao Jian muttered silently in his heart and pulled out the attribute panel. Name: Xiao Jian. Age: 16. Skills: the first part of Divine Elephant Prison Suppressing Power, 78 Giant Elephant Particles, a small success in Zixia Divine Skill, a small success in Qingcheng Heart Technique, a small success in Heavenly Demon Dafa, and a small success in Sihang Sword Code. Martial Skills: Perfect Vajra Palm, minor accomplishment in Function Legs, minor accomplishment in Cloud Dispelling Palm, minor accomplishment in Heart Destroying Palm, minor accomplishment in fiery fist, minor accomplishment in stepping on folding clouds, minor accomplishment in Zishui sword technique, minor accomplishment in Murong sword technique. You flowers bloom in the evening and small successes come in the morning, small successes come in the passing of time. Martial arts experience value, 4434. Internal force value, 0. Realm, innate third level. Looking at the realm of the third level of Shantian, Xiaojian couldn't help but sigh that his strength was still a bit low. Whether it is the Imperial Court or Zhonghu Sect, the number of powerful masters is not a small number. What's more, there is a Grand Master above, who is definitely not something Xiaojian can resist now. Gotta speed it up, Xiaojian said silently in his heart, and then embarked on the road to Jinling Mansion. It is unusual for news about a Shaolin lay master to leak. Xu Jing was so tortured by him at the beginning that she didn't even say a word. Except for him and Zhang Zhen, all the Jinyiwei who knew the news in the prison were dead. Therefore, the news could not have been released by Jinyiwei. Unless Monk Shijing tells it himself, it is really unlikely that anyone will know. After traveling quickly, Xiaojian finally arrived at Jinling Mansion. In Jinling Mansion, warriors from all walks of life gathered. Ever since the news of the inheritance of the Shaolin lay master came out, the entire Jinling Mansion and several surrounding state capitals were in chaos. The number of warriors in the martial arts world increased dramatically, and there were countless people coming and going at night. The people in the city suffered. Every day, many wealthy families are killed and innocent women are insulted. At dawn, a few corpses are always found lying on the street. There are countless people who seek revenge and cause trouble. Even in broad daylight, there were people fighting on the street, and countless people were injured in a short time. The Jinyiwei of Jinling Mansion are too busy. At this time, Xiaojian was sitting at a roadside tea stall drinking herbal tea, sitting silently and listening. Everyone around was discussing about the Shaolin lay master. I heard that an innate master from the Li family was killed last night. Not even his body was left behind. What a tragic death. Isn't that right? Those people have gone crazy because of this. The Jingfa masters from Shaolin Temple have already arrived. They are the peak innate beings. This competition for Shaolin Temple is inevitable. That's not necessarily the case. I heard that even people from the Tianxiahui and the Sun Moon God Sect have come out. It's hard to say whether the Shaolin Temple can succeed. Xiaojian narrowed his eyes slightly. These forces are all huge. Whichever one is taken alone can have a chance to compete with Ming Dynasty. It seems that the harvest this time should not be small. The corners of Xiaojian's mouth curled up slightly. The more fighting there is, the better it is for him. What's more, the people who come are just a group of innate realms. If he were a Grand Master, he would still be afraid of 3 points. After all, he has never fought before, but even if he is a Grand Master, Xiaojian believes that even if he cannot defeat him, there is no problem in protecting himself. At this moment, a Jinyiwei from Jinling Mansion saw Xiaojian, a new-looking warrior, still wearing Jinyiwei attire, and immediately stepped forward to ask. Your Excellency, are you Mr. Xiao Zhanzhao from Jinling? Xiaojian nodded. The visitor's nervous expression relaxed and he breathed a long sigh of relief. My lord, you are finally here. Lord Qinhu has been waiting for you for a long time. Please come to the Jinyiwei Fuyamen, Lord Xiao. They are very busy right now. Usually 1,000 households is enough to cope with ordinary situations. But now there are countless warriors who come to Jinling Mansion. Not to mention there are a lot of warriors the day after tomorrow. The Jinyiwei of Jinling Mansion are already beyond their capabilities. I have long heard that Jinling is going to transfer Xiaojian, and everyone in Jinling Mansion has been looking forward to it for a long time. There are so many people in the rivers and lakes, and they are fighting for life and death every day. There are only so many people in Jinling Mansion's Jinyi guards, how can they possibly take care of them? Even if we patrol day and night, we will still be too busy. Wang Meng from Qinhu had already reported to Jinling, asking for support. However, Jinyiwei has been seriously short of personnel recently due to the affairs between Tianxiahui and Wushuang City. In addition, Xiaojian has been arranged to Jinling Mansion, so the matter was handed over to Xiaojian. In just a few days, Wang Meng was eager to see through. If Xiaojian doesn't come again, he won't be able to hold on any longer. The journey went smoothly to the Jinyiwei Yamen of Jinling Mansion. At this time, except for the 2 strong men standing guard at the door of the Jinyiwei Yamen, there were not many people inside. The large yamen seemed a bit empty. Under the leadership of this Jinyiwei, Xiao Jian came to the yamen lobby. Wang Mang, who was sitting high on the throne, saw the joy on Xiao Jian's face. Ha 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 ha, Mr. Xiao, you are finally here. Wang Mang quickly stood up to greet him, not daring to neglect this newly promoted member of the 100 households. However, at the age of 10, he was able to become famous in the world, and his future prospects were limitless. What's more, in this world where the strong are respected, even the 2 hall masters of the Tianxiahui suffered a loss at the hands of Xiao Jian. He thought to himself that in a fight with Xiao Jian, he would lose more and win less. Although Xiao Jian is still a member of 100 households, but with his strength here, it is inevitable to be promoted to 1,000 households. It depends on when the top Jinyiwei executives give the order. Xiao Jian pays homage to Lord Qinhu. Xiao Jian walked into the lobby and bowed politely. Others stood up to greet him to save face, but Xiao Jian couldn't put on airs. Master Xiao, there is no need to be so polite. Wang Mang quickly asked Xiao Jian to sit down politely. Then he praised Xiao Jian greatly. Master Xiao fought with one against many in Fuzhou, but he made Jinyiwei's face huge. I've been waiting for him to be famous for a long time, and today I get to see him. The young hero really deserves his reputation. Wang Mang stood next to Xiao Jian and felt a faint pressure that made his heart beat wildly. I sighed secretly. When he was Xiao Jian's age, he was still struggling in the acquired realm. Master Xiao, there have been too many people in the city recently, and the Jinling Mansion Jinyi Guard Station has been overwhelmed. Not to mention those innate masters, even acquired warriors are already a little intimidated. Master Xiao is young and promising. Please pay more attention to the affairs of Jinling Mansion this time. After Wang Mang explained for a while, Xiao Jian had some understanding of the current situation of Jinling Mansion. The people in the world have caused panic in Jinling Mansion. As a helper sent by Jinling, he naturally has a duty to do so. Xiao Jian nodded and said, "Please rest assured, sir, I know what to do." After the 2 discussed together, the night patrol of the north city of Jinling Mansion was handed over to Xiao Jian. After Xiao Jian left the lobby, someone from Jinyiwei took him to the guest room. The guard in golden clothes in the lobby saw Xiao Jian's figure disappearing around the corner and whispered to Wang Mang of Qinhu. Master Qinhu, is this Xiao Jian really that powerful? Is he worthy of such courtesy? Just a boy of 16 or 17 years old. No matter how talented he is just a person who has just entered Shantian. Qinhu Wang Mang is a veteran master in the late stage of Shantian. Wang Mang looked in the direction Xiao Jian left with a sneer in his eyes and said, "What do you know? This Xiao Jian is really not simple. Anyone who can single-handedly overpower several talented people in the world cannot be treated too politely. Besides, if you have any ability, won't we see the outcome tonight?" The night in Jinling Mansion is destined to be uneventful. When night fell, all the houses in Jinling Mansion extinguished their lights early. People closed their doors to thank guests, and even some inns and brothels were rarely closed. It seems that the night in Jinling Mansion is really chaotic. Xiao Jian stood on the roof of Jinyiwei Yamen and murmured. In such a large city, it was actually dark so early, and various places began to close their doors and refuse guests. If it hadn't been for the loss, it would definitely not have closed so early. Suddenly, Xiao Jian turned his head and looked towards the north of the city. 2 violent innate auras came. The roaring sound was very conspicuous in the silent night. Xiao Jian jumped from the roof and flew over. In the north of the city, 2 innate masters were fighting fiercely. "Hu Bai, you killed my junior brother. If we meet you this time, I won't let you go no matter what." The eyes of Mo Shuang across from him were red, and the anger in his chest was about to burst out. Hu Bai sneered again and again. "Your junior brother is not strong enough, but you, this senior brother, can do it. I have practiced for decades, but I am still innately at the first level. I am a waste." Hu Bai's words completely angered Mo Shuang. "You are seeking death. Break the devil's clutches." The huge palm print triggered the spiritual energy around him and rushed towards Hu Bai with a roar. Hu Bai laughed disdainfully. "It's this move again. Is there nothing else besides this move?" After speaking, the big knife in his hand was slashed out, and the silver sword was slashed from top to bottom. Cleave mountains and waves. Boom! The huge sound shook the surrounding houses. On the roof, Xiao Jian watched this scene calmly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the broken demon palm and automatically comprehending the broken demon palm. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of the mountain-splitting wave saber technique and automatically comprehending the mountain-splitting wave saber technique. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of internal energy. The internal energy value is +10. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragments of internal energy. The internal energy value is +10. In Xiao Jian's eyes, every time the two attacked, fragments fell. Naturally, there is no rush to take action. After a while, the battlefield between the two of them got closer and closer to the house. Seeing that the house was about to be affected by their fight, the people inside began to scream in fear. The two men in the battle had no scruples and continued to attack with all their strength, ignoring the people in the houses. Xiao Jian frowned. The people in the rivers and lakes really don't care about the lives of the people. In this case, don't blame him for being rude. A murderous look flashed in his eyes, and his figure flashed and appeared between the two men. How dare you! The clanging sound shook the four directions. The powerful innate momentum carried a cold murderous aura, which made the two men with red eyes stiffen instantly. Hu Bai shouted before he could see the figure of the person coming clearly. Who dares to meddle in the affairs of the Sun and Moon Sect? In the past, as long as he raised the banner of the Sun and Moon Sect, he could basically walk sideways in the rivers and lakes. Even the Ming Dynasty court or Shaolin did not dare to offend him easily. Unfortunately, he met Xiao Jian today. Xiao Jian heard the words, and the murderous intent in his heart became even stronger. He still had a blood debt to settle with the Sun and Moon Sect. Sun Moon Sect, that is also under the rule of our Ming Dynasty. How can you run wild here? Powerful Vajra Palm. The perfect level of powerful Vajra Palm is extraordinary. Xiao Jian's palms came out at the same time, emitting a strong golden light, which was very bright in the night. The strong pressure made the two people's hearts and minds broken. What is this? Hu Bai and Mo Shuang opened their eyes wide and looked at Xiao Jian's palms in disbelief. Although the powerful Vajra Palm is a unique skill of Shaolin, it is not rare because it has been passed down. The two naturally recognized it. But when did the powerful Vajra Palm have such a strong sense of oppression? Bang! The two people under the strong pressure had no time to react and were blown away and seriously injured on the spot. Puff! Puff! The two people spit out a mouthful of old blood. Hu Bai only saw that Xiao Jian was wearing the clothes of the Jinyiwei and was instantly angry. When did the Jinyiwei become so bold? Aren't they afraid of starting a war between the Sun Moon Sect and the Ming Dynasty? Jinyiwei, how dare you attack my Sun Moon Sect? Xiao Jian looked at Hu Bai with a cold face, and a strong murderous intent flashed in his eyes. This is Junding Prefecture of the Ming Dynasty. You Zhonghu people actually disregarded the lives of the people of the Ming Dynasty and fought in the city. You deserve to die. If you are dissatisfied, just let Dongfang Bubai go to Nanjing to find His Majesty the Emperor to argue. Xiao Jian's words were righteous and impeccable. He worked for the Jinyiwei of the court, that is, for the emperor of the Ming Dynasty. If they were dissatisfied, of course they had to find the emperor to settle accounts. Although Dongfang Bubai was strong, he was not without scruples. How could he go to Nanjing to fight the Ming Dynasty court just because of a congenital warrior? Hu Bai had a face full of anger, but he dared not say anything. The murderous aura on Xiao Jian was no joke. If he was angered, it was not impossible for him to kill. Hu Bai didn't want to gamble his life on whether the Jinyiwei dared to kill him. Mo Shuang was overjoyed to see that Xiao Jian seemed to not even take the people of the Sun and Moon Sect seriously. With a turn of his eyes, he said, "Brother, Hu Bai is a member of the Demon Sect, who has committed many evil deeds and everyone can kill him. Kill him and defend the way of the demons. Become famous all over the world, and everyone in the world will remember your heroic deeds." Xiao Jian glanced at Mo Shuang, and anyone could see the contempt in his eyes. What demon slaying and defending the way of the demons is this just to treat him as a fool? Get out of here. If you dare to fight in the city again and hurt innocent people, you will die. Xiao Jian said coldly. Now is not the time to kill people. When we reach the place where the Grand Master inherits, everyone will fight to the death for the inheritance. When the time comes, just kill them. The two dared not to be angry, and left with a cold snort. Seeing the two leave, Xiao Chen flashed and flew to the roof, and disappeared into the night in a blink of an eye. There seemed to be a lot of people fighting in the North City. There were more than one more fight than in the other 3 directions. There were 3 fights between the innates, not to mention the fights between the acquireds. Xiao Chen kept flying rapidly in the sky above the North City. As long as he saw those who bullied the people, he would slap them to death with one palm. Those who fought each other, he would take advantage of them and then seriously injure them. Gradually, the North City of Jinling Prefecture became quiet. After sensing that the North City had calmed down, Xiao Chen set his sights on the other 3 directions. Anyway, I have already taken action, so it would be a waste if I don't take advantage of this wave of wool. Xiao Chen muttered, and rushed straight to the place where the fighting was the loudest. South City of Jinling Prefecture. Wang Mang was fighting fiercely with a man. If you look closely, you can find that Wang Mang has no way to deal with the opponent at all. All his attacks were easily resolved by the opponent. Who are you? Wang Mang stopped and stood still, asking from a distance. The man smiled and said calmly, Sun Moon Sect Ku Yang. Sun Moon Sect. Wang Mang's heart skipped a beat. The Ming Dynasty and the Sun Moon Sect have always been at odds. The two sides were just about to fight each other. It's just that the Sun Moon Sect has many followers and Dongfang Bubai is in charge, so the Ming Dynasty dare not act rashly. Wang Mang's face was ugly and he hesitated for a moment. It's hard to win if he fights, but it's not right not to fight. He thought about it and thought, if he retreated as soon as he heard the name of the Sun Moon Sect, wouldn't it be a joke? He gritted his teeth and rushed up again. Xiao Chen was already standing quietly on the roof near the two of them. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Broken Gold Song and successfully comprehending Broken Gold Song. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Spirit Heart Ghost / and successfully comprehending Spirit Heart Ghost /. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Internal Force value +15. Ding! Congratulations to the host for picking up the fragment of Internal Force value +13. Xiao Chen just watched the two of them fight all the way from South City to East City. Fu Yang laughed while fighting. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.